Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes strongest and feared team of Shinobi in history part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. 5-year-olds Naruto Uzumaki and Tenten were in the middle of packing. They were going on a trip with the Sandaime Hokage to Suna for some kind of peace treaty, or something. The two kids were too excited about leaving the village to even listen to what the old man said after he told them they'd be going to Suna. The two kids were just happy to leave the village for a while. They've never been out of the village before. So this was exciting. Naruto and Tenten lived together after they were both kicked out of the orphanage. Now Tenten wasn't kicked out because any kind of bad behavior, but she kicked herself out when the orphanage kicked her best friend, Naruto, out. She even stood firm whenever adoption day came. She wasn't going to leave her best friend behind. Whenever he was picked on by the other kids, Tenten would stand by him and defend him even if it meant she was caught in the crossfire. Naruto and Tenten were attached at the hip and nothing was ever going to change that, no matter what people did or said about Naruto. Tenten never budged at all. She and Naruto met one day after Naruto ran away from some of the older kids that were beating him up. Tenten took care of his wounds and vowed to be there for him from now on, and thus started their friendship. Naruto was given the smallest and draftiest room in the orphanage. They gave him the thinnest mattress as well as the most tattered blankets to sleep with. Tenten stayed with Naruto in his room, never caring about how cold it was in there. She helped him steal food so he could eat since they staff barely ever fed him right. So when the two got kicked out and the Sandaime found them several weeks later scrounging in the trash for food, he gave them a small 2-bedroom apartment in an apartment building he owned. Naruto and Tenten were the only tenants in the complex, but that suited them just fine. They did, however, have to learn how to be handy since the apartment building was quite old and had many problems. The landlord was stingy and didn't want to spend a lot of money on the place. So with that, the two kids learned how to do minor repairs on many things along with a little plumbing and carpentry. They got a certain amount of money from the orphan fund to take care of their needs. Tenten did the shopping due to the fact if Naruto did, then all they'd have in the cupboards would be instant ramen. Though Tenten had to make sure she went to shops that didn't overprice things since she was a friend of the demon. There were a few that tolerate Tenten, and that pleased her just fine. She was able to buy the groceries needed for herself and Naruto. Naruto, for his own enjoyment, had a small window box garden that he tended to. Tenten preferred to practice throwing kunai, which the Sandaime had gotten her and Naruto. Naruto wasn't much of a housekeeper, and that meant Tenten had to take on the role and made sure Naruto cleaned up after himself. Sure, they had their fights with one another about cleaning up the place, but in the end always made up and worked together to clean whatever mess they had. It mainly consisted of Tenten nagging Naruto till he did it, and he'd do it since Tenten got very scary when angry. Naruto, are you sure you have everything packed? Tenten asked. Of course, Tenten, Naruto said confidently. Really then, let's take a look, Tenten said. What? Naruto exclaimed. Before he could stop her, Tenten looked through Naruto's pack and frowned. The boy sure didn't know what to really pack. She sighed and dumped everything out and packed for him. Hey, I had that done, Naruto whined. A pack full of ramen cups with only 2 pairs of clothes isn't the correct way to pack, Tenten said in a chiding tone. Naruto pouted. So Tenten got to work packing the proper things Naruto needed. She sometimes felt like she was as much a mother to Naruto as a best friend at times. She had to make sure Naruto ate well enough and not just eat ramen all the time. He seemed to have an unhealthy obsession with noodle and broth concoction. She limited him to going to Ichiraku's only 3 times a week. She wanted to limit it down ever further, but in the end they compromised. If Naruto ate more non-ramen foods, then he could have ramen 3 times at Ichiraku's. There, now you are packed, she said, wiping her brow as she finished packing Naruto's pack the right way. Yeah, I am packed. Can we eat now? Naruto asked, holding his grumbling stomach. Tenten sighed. Fine, but no ramen, she said. Naruto pouted for being denied what he deemed food of the gods. Scene break. Naruto was a bundle of energy and would have ran circles around the Sandaime, the Umbu guard, and Tenten if it weren't for Tenten reining him a bit. It took 2 weeks for them to get to Suna since they had to cross the desert, and neither Tenten nor Naruto had ever been in such heat. Naruto complained about the heat and sand for a while till Tenten threatened to gag him with the very sand around them, which made him shut his mouth and complain in his mind for the rest of the time. As stated before, he knew very well that pissing off Tenten wasn't a smart idea at all. Sadly, he learned this lesson the hard way, with Tenten unleashing her wrath upon him and him fleeing for his life. When they got to Suna, they went through the gates after showing the guards their passes, then headed to the Kazekage Tower. There they met the Kazekage. To the shock of the Hokage and Umbu escort, Naruto bowed respectfully to the Kazekage. This was shocking since Naruto rarely if ever showed any respect to anyone really. Tenten knew Naruto had manners, he just rarely showed them to anyone. It is nice to meet you both. These are my children, the Kazekage gesturing to the 3 kids standing behind him. Now, Lord Hokage, I believe we have an alliance to renew. Yes, we do, the Hokage said with a nod. The 2 Kages headed to the council chambers while the 5 kids went off to have fun. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said with pride. Tenten sighed and shook her head at her friend's enthusiasm. My name is Tenten, she said. My name is Temari. This is Kankuro and Gaara, Temari said. Temari was the eldest of the 3 siblings. She had dirty blonde hair which she wore in 4 ponytails with green eyes. To her right was Kankuro, the middle sibling. He wore an odd cat suit that had small points that looked like ears. He wore makeup, wore paint on his face. Last was Gaara, the youngest. He had short red hair and a blank look. He had dark circles under his eyes. It's nice to meet ya. Why are you wearing your sister's makeup and where is the nearest ramen stand? Naruto asked. It's not makeup, it's war paint. Kankuro shouted. Temari giggled at this since it was true that Kankuro would steal her makeup at times when he needed that perfect color. Tenten giggled then smacked Naruto in the back of the head, causing Naruto to rub the wounded spot. Why'd you do that, Tenten? He whined. Because we're not going to spend all day eating ramen. We should take in the sights, Tenten said. Naruto grumbled a bit. A small chuckle was heard and everyone turned. They found the source of the chuckle was coming from Gaara. Temari and Kankuro were shocked since they never heard any kind of amusement from their little brother before. Heck, they never saw their youngest brother show any emotion really at all. He usually kept a blank face and said very little. If you wish to see some sights, then allow me to show you, Gaara said politely. Tenten smiled and nodded with Naruto following suit. Gaara led Naruto and Tenten with his 2 elder siblings, wondering what changed their brother. As Gaara showed Naruto and Tenten around and told them about certain spots, they all got to know one another. Temari latched onto Tenten since she didn't have many female friends at all, with being the daughter of the Kazekage and having a brother like Gaara, who was called a demon around the village. Not many other girls wanted to hang out with her. Tenten was the same, though she had no female friends due to her association with Naruto, and that she hated how girly the girls her age were. Kankuro kept wondering what was going with his little brother. Gaara seemed to open up to Naruto, and they found an instant connection with one another. Tenten saw this and smiled. She knew Naruto had an amazing ability to make friends with just about anyone. It was one of his gifts. In the end, the 5 kids became friends with one another, and they just knew that this friendship would last. Scene break. A couple of weeks later, the Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, and Kazekage, Kenshii Sabaku, were taking a break from renewing their alliance between their respective villages. It was slow going since the Suna Council was dragging it out as much as they could. Both leaders were tired and annoyed by the Suna Council's behavior, and it took all of their patience and willpower not to kill them all. Tell me, Lord Hokage, the boy you brought. He wouldn't be the Minato Namikaze's son, would he? Kenshii asked. Hiruzen nearly choked on the tea he was drinking. He knew the Kazekage was smart, but he didn't think he would figure that out. You didn't become a Kage of a village by just strength alone. What makes you ask that? The leader of the Leaf Village asked. It's just that he looks very much like the Namikaze. Take away those whisker marks and he's a miniature version of Namikaze, Kenshii said casually. Hiruzen had to think carefully about what he'd say next. I am also asking since he and I have a contract with one another. Our children are supposed to be engaged to one another, Kenshii said. Shit! Minato, what have you saddled me with? Hiruzen thought. Here's the contract for you to see, Kenshii said as he pulled scroll from his pocket. Hiruzen read it and found it was legit. He now had to wonder what to do next. He could ignore this, but what would the consequences be? Not only that, but Naruto was already engaged to Tenten even though both kids didn't know it yet. That contract was set up by his mom and Tenten's parents. Tenten's parents also came from Whirlpool, where Naruto's mom hailed from. Tenten's parents were some of the best weaponsmiths/users ever, though they died during the Kyuubi attack as collateral damage. It was very sad. I think we've much to discuss, Lord Kazekage, but I think it is best we talk about this once we have a treaty solidly in place, Hiruzen said. Kenshii nodded. It was best to get the treaty out of the way before they had this discussion. Scene break. It has been several weeks now since Naruto and Tenten arrived in Suna, and they were now used to the hot dry weather, though they longed for home from time to time. They missed the trees and the gentle cool breezes that felt great on a hot day. The desert dry heat was not something they really cared for, but they could handle it a lot better now. They did have the Sand Siblings, as Naruto called them. Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro. The 5 were almost as thick as thieves now since they barely spent time apart. Tenten and Temari got along since they both wanted to be strong kunoichi when they got older, because they wanted to prove that they were just as good as the guys. Naruto and Gaara were practically brothers, as Naruto somehow was the only one not to be afraid of the redhead. Gaara showed his first smile and laughed his first laugh with Naruto, and the path that destiny had written for the redhead was now changed. Kankuro moved in between the 2 subgroups since he really had no place, but that didn't matter to him much. At the moment, the 5 were lounging around the Kazekage mansion. Temari was reading a scroll while Kankuro was working on his puppet on the floor. Gaara was lying on the couch, Tenten was flipping a kunai in the air, and Naruto was lying on the floor staring up at the ceiling. So what should we do today? Naruto asked. I want to do some training. I got some kunai and shuriken I want to throw, Tenten said. Training sounds good to me, Temari said. Gaara just nodded and Kankuro shrugged. It didn't matter for the middle Sand sibling. Right, to the training grounds. Naruto shouted. The 5 made it to the training grounds they claimed as their own. It helped the Sand siblings that their father was the Kazekage, and no one said no to them really. When they got there, Tenten pulled out her pointy objects and began to throw them. Temari joined in with her own kunai. Tenten helped Temari with her throwing since the Suna girl wasn't as good as Tenten was. Kankuro was still fiddling with a puppet he had made. Though it was crude, it was his first puppet he had ever made and wanted to try it out. He was still trying to figure out the kinds of weapons to use. He couldn't add poisons in yet, since he could get his hands on any. Plus he didn't know much about poisons either. Naruto and Gaara decided to have a little taijutsu spar. The two didn't really know any kind of style or form of fighting. They just went at it though, made sure not to really hurt the other. You've gotten better, Gaara, Naruto commented. So have you, Naruto, Gaara said as he dodged another punch. Though Gaara had his sand to protect him, he didn't want to rely on it so much. Thus when he sparred he kept his sand used to a minimum as much as he could and worked on evasion and dodging as well as close-range attacks. He knew that his sand could be disabled by the use of water and didn't want to become dependent on it. The Umbu watching them smiled under his mask. The 5 would be very strong shinobi, no doubt. Scene break. Finally the treaty was near completion. It took longer than what both rulers had thought it would take, since the Suna Council was dragging their wrinkled old feet every step of the way, wanting more and more out of the treaty than what Konoha would allow. But now there was a proposal that would work for both villages. Lord Hokage, I believe it is time we continue what we were discussing beforehand, Kenshi said. Yes, I suppose so, Hiruzen said with a heavy sigh. The two leaders sat down and took the cups of tea they were served. I must first tell you that what I am about to tell you is very secret, and not many know about this, and I fear what will happen if it leaks out, Hiruzen said seriously. Kenshi nodded. He understood the gravity of the topic that was to be discussed. You have my word that I will be the only one to know. Though I believe I will need to tell my daughter since it involves her as well as her 2 brothers, he said. That is fine as long as it doesn't go any further than just them, Hiruzen said with a nod. Kenshi nodded also. Good, Hiruzen said. He then told Kenshi all. How the Kyuubi was sealed inside Naruto, and how Naruto is not only the heir to the Namikaze clan, but the Uzumaki clan, and how he already has a betrothed for the Uzumaki side. Kenshi listened shocked and amazed that the boy came from 2 very powerful shinobi. The lad was going to be a terror to his enemies once he gets older. Not to mention a great ally to those he sided with. Well, this is much more than I ever expected, but I feel I must tell you that my youngest, Gaara, also houses a Biju too. The one-tailed Shikaku, Kenshi said. Hiruzen was shocked. Though he knew Suna did have a Biju of their own, he didn't think they would have in a child, let alone in the Kazekage's very own son. I was against this, if you must know, but the damn council forced me into it, Kenshi spat. Hiruzen nodded. He understood the pressures of the council. He had to fight tooth and nail to keep Naruto from being executed just after the sealing, and then he had to fight to keep Naruto from being turned into a weapon. Heck, he's still fighting both battles every day. Now that we've relieved our burdens, I think it is time we find a way to make this work, HM? Hiruzen said. Yes, this can and will strengthen the bonds between villages, Kenshi said with a nod. So the 2 Kages began discussing a plan involving the future of the 5 kids. Scene break. The 5 kids stood in the Kazekage's office, all wondering what was going on. Naruto was more verbal in his curiosity, and Tenten had to silence him before he drove them all crazy with his guesses. The Sand siblings all silently thanked Tenten for this. They all liked Naruto, but he could be a pain sometimes. I am so glad you all could make it, Kenshi said, sitting down at his desk. Hiruzen was sitting in a guest chair and smiled his grandfather smile at the 5 kids. Now, before we start, we both want to stress on how important what we're about to tell you and make sure you understand that this is very secret and cannot be told by anyone else, Kenshi said seriously. The Sand siblings nodded. They understood totally. As for Naruto and Tenten, well, they were confused. What would happen if we told? Naruto asked. Usually the penalty is death, Kenshi said plainly. Naruto paled and gulped. He now knew how serious this was. He may not be the brightest bulb, but he understood enough, mainly thanks to Tenten hammering it into him. Tenten hearing this nodded, though she was a bit pale too. Good, Lord Hokage? Kenshi said, nodding his head to his fellow leader. Naruto, I was going to tell you this once you reached the rank of Jounin, or at least Chunin, since I felt that you'd be strong enough by then, but certain things have made me move up my schedule. I know who your parents are, Hiruzen said. Naruto's eyes widened and he felt Tenten grab his hand to calm him. Who are they? He asked in a small voice. Their names were Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, Hiruzen said. Tenten's mind worked fast as she tried to place the 2 new names. It was like a lightning strike, it came to her that fast. You mean to say Naruto's dad was the 4th Hokage, also known as the Yellow Flash, and his mom was the red-hot-blooded Hanabaro? Tenten exclaimed. Yes, that is correct, Hiruzen said. The Sand siblings were shocked and looked at Naruto, since they didn't think that he'd be related to 2 of the greatest shinobis that Konoha had ever had. Naruto was just plain shocked. He knew his parents' names and the fact that they were so famous. He didn't know what to say. But that isn't all, I am afraid. The history of the night the Kyuubi attacked is only partially right, Hiruzen said. What do you mean? Tenten asked, knowing the story. Due to the Kyuubi being made of pure chakra, there was no way of destroying it. So the Yondaime, Naruto's father, did the next best thing. He sealed it away into a newborn, Hiruzen said sadly. Somehow Naruto understood this right away. It explained all the dirty looks, being spat on, the reason why none of the other kids played with him, why he got the random beatings from the villagers. He held the Kyuubi. It's me, I hold the Kyuubi, the small blonde said softly. Yes, Naruto, but it wasn't something that your father wanted to do. If there was any other way, he'd have done it. He wanted you to be looked at a hero, but the village disregarded his last wish. It sickens me, Hiruzen said, frowning at the end. Naruto was about to open his mouth, but Tenten tightened the grip she had on Naruto's hand. Don't say it, Naruto. You aren't the Kyuubi at all. You are Naruto, my best friend, and nothing will change that. A kunai sealed in a scroll doesn't make it a kunai still. No matter what Tenten said with tears in her eyes, Naruto looked at his best friend and hugged her. Tears were in his eyes as the two hugged one another. Soon they parted with Naruto whispering a thank you to Tenten. Tenten smiled at Naruto as she wiped her tears away. I am afraid that is not all. There is much more, Kenshi said, breaking the silence. Soon the 5 kids' world was rocked again. They found out about Gaara, and both of his siblings, Temari and Kankuro, stood by their little brother as he cried for probably the first time in a long time. There was hugs shared by the 3 siblings. Once those tears were dried up, the news about Temari's being engaged to Naruto was thrown out, with Tenten's engaged thrown in for good measure. Naruto's eyes were so wide they looked like they'd pop out of their sockets. Tenten was shocked. She had no idea about her parents except a few scrolls they left for her. They mainly told her about her heritage, but nothing in great detail, especially the fact she was engaged to her best friend. Temari was also shocked since she had no idea either. She didn't know really how to feel since she did like Naruto as a friend, but to find out he was going to be your future husband was a lot to take in. Heck, she wasn't like most girls who ogled the cute boys and talked about, well, girly things. She was more of a tomboy, and that's why she related to Tenten so much. They were both tomboys, though they still had their girly moments. They were just far and in between. Gaara and Kankuro were just plain shocked. Their sister was engaged, and to Naruto of all people. They liked Naruto and all, but this was something that was right out of left field, and they didn't really know what to think at the moment. Now with this, we've come up with a plan. Though it will be very unusual and unheard of, we've decided to place the 5 of you in a team, Kenshi said. How can we be a team? I have always read that all shinobi teams are 3-man teams except for certain missions, Tenten asked. That is true, it's highly unusual to have a 5-man team. But this is a special case. We have decided on doing this for a few reasons. 1. We didn't want to split up the 3 siblings or split up Naruto and Tenten, so this was the compromise. Plus we wanted to have Naruto with both Tenten and Temari so he could get to know his 2 future wives. We've also decided to train you early. I have already lined up instructors for you when you return to Konoha, Hiruzen said. Tenten and Temari blushed at the word wives since they knew what that meant. When we return? Naruto asked curiously. Yes, you and Tenten are going to spend time here to start your training, Hiruzen said. Yes, you 5 are going to spend time split between Suna and Konoha. You'll be the first joint team of Suna/Konoha, Kenshi said. The 5 kids looked at one another, and they came to a decision. They each nodded to one another, and this let Naruto speak for them all. When do we start? Naruto asked. Scene break. The training was brutal to say the least. The instructors Kenshi lined up for the quintet kept them all on their toes as they learned what their strengths and weaknesses were. They also learned chakra controlling exercises, taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, and other shinobi skills they need. They also learned history, military tactics, and other special courses Kenshi had lined up for just the 5. Now, usually since they were still young, they wouldn't be pushed too hard, but Kenshi and Hiruzen both agreed that this was needed for the 5 to become strong early. They had several plans for the Suna/Konoha team. But they also knew that the 5 needed to be kids, so they made sure to give the 5 days off to relax and be their age. Gaara was long range and the main man on defense. His sand could be used to protect not only himself, but his teammates. He also could use his sand as an offensive weapon. What also happened was the great seal master Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin checked over Gaara's seal and reinforced it so Gaara would be more sane and be able to sleep now. It did make him have to relearn how to use his sand, which took some time since he had to focus harder when it came to using his sand than before. But it would soon become second nature to him like before. Kankuro learned the ways of puppets from Chiyo, who was the top authority in the art of puppetry. She hadn't trained a pupil since her own grandson, who is now a missing nin. But she was ordered to by the Kazekage and she had no choice. But she actually found new life with training Kankuro, his siblings along with Naruto and Tenten. They actually made her smile and her outlook on life became brighter, not so bitter. So Kankuro learned puppetry and became very proficient in it. He'd be another long-range fighter. Temari would also be a long-range fighter when she showed she had a wind affinity. She was given her mother's fan and learned many wind jutsus since they found she had a wind affinity. She also learned taijutsu to complement her skills with her fan since they drilled into that she might lose her fan in battle and needed to know how to defend herself without it. She learned taijutsu as well as ninjutsu using her fan and without. Tenten would be their support with her amazing accuracy with kunai and shuriken. Not only that, but she had amazing natural ability with kenjutsu. She was so good that it shocked the instructors. Though after learning about Tenten's parentage they understood. Tenten's parents were not only the best blacksmiths of Whirlpool, but the top of kenjutsu experts and were feared and revered. They could practically pick up any weapon and know how to use it in a few tries. It seemed that Tenten had inherited this ability from her parents, so Tenten's training was focused on learning more weapons, and along with that she learned Fuinjutsu so she could carry all of her weapons without being slowed down. Jiraiya stayed a while to help Tenten with this since he was the master in this area. The budding weapons mistress also was taught taijutsu and ninjutsu, so she had other skills to fall back on in case she needed it. As for Naruto, he was a jack of all trades really. He had a huge chakra reserve, so that meant he would be the team's main ninjutsu user, though with parentage he had an amazing grasp on Fuinjutsu, and ate up all the books Jiraiya gave him. Both his mom and dad were great with seals. His father was a master and his mother, well, Uzumakis had Fuinjutsu in their blood really. Naruto would be the next seal master, and Jiraiya, who the 5 kids found out was Naruto's godfather, predicted that Naruto would surpass him. Naruto needed much work on his taijutsu since he seemed to be a brawler, and that wouldn't do even with his amazing healing ability thanks to the Kyubi. So he was taught a form that suited his hard hitting and speed. They found he had no grasp for genjutsu thanks to the Kyubi, so worked with him to identify and dispel them. That was all they could do, so with the training the 5 grew even closer. It was also found that none of them really cared for genjutsu. Mainly since Naruto and Gaara had too much chakra to even perform genjutsu. Tenten didn't care for the illusions, Temari preferred her Winjutsu, and Kankuro was too obsessed with dolls, puppets at the moment, to even care about genjutsu right now. Naruto, Temari, and Tenten got used to the fact that they'd be married to each other. Though it was odd since they still had no idea how this would work. But they decided to worry about it later since the contracts weren't going to kick in for years. Scene break. A few years later, Hiruzen sat back as he read the progress report he had on the quintet. They were progressing in quick fashion. They could be genin ready for the Chunin exams with their skills. But what they lacked was experience. But he and Kenshii had a plan for that. They were going to give the 5 missions right after the team was done training in Konoha. "Hey old man, we're here," Naruto announced. "Naruto, show some respect to the Hokage," Temari said as she whacked Naruto over the head with her fan. Naruto yelped and fell to the ground, rubbing his bruised head. Kankuro sympathized with the blonde on the floor since he was usually the one to get whacked with Temari's fan for saying something stupid or perverted, usually both at the same time if you can believe it. You'd think getting whacked in the head with Temari's fan would teach him, but maybe all those hits made him lose brain cells instead. Tenten sighed and helped her friend/fiancé up. "It's alright, Temari," Naruto calls him that all the time. It's his own affectionate name for the Hokage. Just like he calls Jiraiya pervy sage, the weapons mistress said. Temari just sighed and rolled her eyes. Only Naruto could get away with this, she thought. Gaara and Kankuro bowed to Hiruzen. "It is great to see you all. You have grown so much," Hiruzen said. "We have. We've learned much in Suna and we hope to learn just as much here in Konoha," Gaara said. "I hope we will match Suna in their pace of training. Now as to where to place you. I am sorry, Naruto, Tenten, but your apartment is much too small for the 5 of you," Hiruzen said. "Then where will we stay?" Tenten asked. "I have a small home that should suit you all," Hiruzen said. "Thank you, Lord Hokage," Temari said. "Yeah, thanks old man," Naruto said, grinning big. Temari and Tenten sighed. This was a habit that would never be broken. Scene break. The training the quintet got in Konoha was on par of the training they got in Suna. Their instructors got the reports of what they knew from Suna and just went from there. They were surprised at how advanced the group was. They'd be the most powerful team ever was on the mind of many of the instructors. Gaara had now an almost unstoppable defense, and could block just about anything and everything that came at him, or his teammates. He found he had an earth affinity, which wasn't surprising given he had control over any and all sand. Though his earth affinity didn't come from his Biju. So Gaara learned what earth jutsu they had available added to what he already knew. It was also found that he was a natural sensor, and this wasn't because of his tenant at all either. Kankuro didn't have much to do since he specialized in puppets, and no one in Konoha knew puppetry. So what they did was teach Kankuro taijutsu so just in case he lost his puppets, or something he could still defend himself. It was to be used as a last resort, but would be helpful to the puppet user since he wouldn't be useless at all. He didn't have the chakra capacity to do ninjutsu, so they decided to teach him some genjutsu instead since that didn't take as much chakra as ninjutsu do. Plus he has perfect chakra control and that was a must when it came to doing genjutsu. Kankuro was working on mixing both genjutsu and his puppets in a deadly combination. Temari learned more winjutsus with and without the use of her fan. Her taijutsu was also brought up since it was still way below the level of her ninjutsu. So she was stuck training mostly on getting her taijutsu up to snuff. Temari didn't hassle with genjutsu at all, but the teachers wanted Temari know how to identify a genjutsu and break it. Tenten got more kenjutsu instruction and excelled at it. Her ninjutsu and taijutsu had improved greatly from when she had started, though not on par with her kenjutsu. She also was the best in projectile weaponry. She always hit her mark. Not to mention she had a small armory of weapons that was growing by the day, it seemed. All of them she knew how to use. Her skills in Fuinjutsu was pretty good, and she had a bit of an obsession with explosive tags that frightened Kankuro at times. The girl loved explosions. She also learned that she had an affinity for water, and began learning water jutsus. Naruto was skilled at all areas and showed it. His work in Fuinjutsu was incredible, and all of his instructors were in awe of what he could do with seals. His taijutsu was much better now that he wasn't a brawler, though he still had those tendencies, and that couldn't be broken. His ninjutsu was amazing, and it helped since he had huge chakra capacities and could use many jutsus without getting exhausted. Naruto grudgingly did kenjutsu to please Tenten since she wanted Naruto to, and he could never say no to her. Naruto's elemental affinity was found to be wind, and he had Temari help him work on that. When they were done with their training, they got their first mission. It was a real test. They were to take out a bandit camp that had been terrorizing a few nearby villages. The new team's objective was to wipe the bandits out. That meant they'd be killing them. The team knew that as ninjas they'd have to do this, but they were hesitant. They were young, but both Hiruzen and Kenshii both knew they were ready for action. They as felt that this was needed. To get the Five's first kill out of the way and deal with the emotional healing needed after, then deal with it later when they aren't as prepared. It was decided by both Kages that the joint team would be labeled as Special Genin, a term they both made up. They'd be just above the regular Genin, but not high enough to be Chunin. It was the same as the Special Jounin position. It would work with the special circumstances this team was made of. Before the team left on their first mission, they got their headbands to signify they were now Shinobi. Their headbands had both the Suna and Konoha symbol on them. /scene break / Fox in position, Naruto said into his mic. Raccoon in position. I'll get you for that, Naruto, Gaara said. Makeup boy in position. I hate you, Naruto, Kankuro said. Panda in position, Tenten said. Windy in position, Temari said. Right, let's go, Naruto said. The five jumped from their positions around the bandit camp. There were 2 Jounin there, one each from their respective villages, hidden just to make sure everything went all right, and if any trouble came about they'd step in. Naruto pulled out a katana from his back and slew what bandits he saw. Temari attacked from long range with her wind jutsus, as did Tenten with her kunai and shuriken. The two worked in tandem with one another. Temari's wind jutsus would help increase the power of Tenten's projectiles. Kankuro let out one of his puppet to play, and Gaara used his sand and crushed any bandit that got in his way. It didn't take long since they had the element of surprise on their side. Once done, they were tired and green in the face. All around them was dead bandits. They all threw up from the sight and smell of death they have wrought. The Jounins watching over them felt for the team since they were so young to have killed, but knew they'd have to kill sooner or later. The 2 Shinobi just hoped they wouldn't change too much, and not for the worst. /scene break / After that, the team got more missions and were one of the best teams despite their young age. There'd always be 2 Jounins to watch over the 5 during missions to make sure everything would go alright. They had gotten over their horror of their first kills after some talks by some Jounin along with the Hokage and Kazekage, who came to Konoha to check on the team. The combined effort of the 2 Kages and the Jounin telling them that they should fight for those they hold dear, not for power, not for greed, not for the fun of it, but to protect their precious people. This just drove them all to train harder and work harder to complete their missions. They got missions from both Suna and Konoha, and they had a great success rating. They now stood in the Hokage's office waiting for their next mission. It was decided that since Temari would be living with Naruto once they married, that meant the team would be solely based in Konoha, and the Kazekage would push Suna missions he wanted the team to do to Konoha. Though the team always had a place to stay in Suna if need be, one of their mission went a little chaotic. Tenten had some explosive tags and she went crazy with them. Sadly, these explosive tags were different from the usual ones. Naruto had broken down the seal of an explosive tag and found ways to cause a bigger boom. This of course made Tenten want to ravish Naruto, and it was kind of amusing to see Tenten chasing Naruto around. Her wanting to ravish him and he running away in a total panic. Kankuro was laughing his ass off while Gaara stood there with amusement written all over his face. Temari just watched till she got tired and stopped Tenten, claiming that they were still too young for that, and they should save that for the wedding night. Tenten was embarrassed by her behavior, and Naruto kept his distance from Tenten for the rest of that day to be on the safe side. But back to the mission. They were tasked in taking out a village that was taken over by a huge number of bandits. So the team came in to wipe the entire village out, since there was nothing there except bandits. This gave Tenten a gleam in her eye. She could use explosive tags without harming any innocents. Naruto held all the explosive tags and handed them out to the entire team. Sadly, he accidentally gave Tenten his new and improved ones. And he gave her a very nice stack of them too. Let's just say that there was nothing left of the village after Tenten was done with her hell raising. All that was left was smoldering wreckage and mini craters. Naruto and the others had to jump back to keep out of range. Kankuro cursed both Naruto and Tenten since one of his precious puppets had been blown to pieces. It was agreed after that Naruto would be extra careful with handing out explosive tags and limiting Tenten to just a few of them, and never giving her more once she ran out, and make sure they were the regular ones and not his new and improved ones. They didn't need a repeat performance, scene break. Years later, each of them had grown since they all looked like proud experienced shinobi. They were all now 12 to 14 years old. They were still special genin, but that was because they spent most of their time training and only just in the recent years became shinobi and special genin. They still had much to learn and both Kages didn't want to push them through the ranks. Gaara wore a brown tunic that covered a mesh shirt with gray pants. He had a dark red practically burgundy long-sleeve shirt that was under his tunic. He had a black sash going around his waist. He carried a gourd on his back. He no longer had the dark circles under his eyes due to now being able to sleep at night. He kept his red hair short like he always did. Kankuro wore the same outfit really along with his war paint, his main puppet on his back wrapped in bandages. He kept his other puppets and scrolls he carried. Temari wore a light blue battle kimono that covered a mesh shirt. Her battle fan was strapped to her back along with 2 mini fans on her sides. A gift from Naruto. Her hair done up the same with 4 pigtails. She also had shin guards on as well. Tenten wore a pink sleeveless Chinese shirt with green cargo pants. She had a weapons pouch on her right hip and had storage scrolls and seals hidden everywhere on her person. She had her katana on her back and her hair was done up like it always was. 2 buns. Naruto's outfit was drastically different. Due to his 2 fiancées pleading, he ditched his beloved orange jumpsuit. He now was wearing umbu-style pants, a short-sleeved green shirt that covered a mesh shirt, and to top it off he wore a brown jacket with several pockets for him to carry scrolls in. On his back was a katana that Tenten insisted he buy. The sheath was actually built into the back of the jacket, though it could be removed if needed. His hair was as blonde, short, and spiky as ever since both Tenten and Temari commented how they liked it like that. Naruto wasn't one to refuse the 2. Team Firestorm. Here's your new assignment, Hiruzen said with a smile. What is it, sir? Temari asked. You are to report to the academy and watch over the class of new genin. They are mostly all clan heirs and in need of watching, Hiruzen said. What, why do we have to do that? Naruto asked in a bit of a whine. Hiruzen sighed. Even after all this time, Naruto was still Naruto. He may have calmed down and used his head more, but there were still times he was hot-headed, brash, and acted somewhat childish, though not as often. He was also considered the leader of the team, though there was never an official vote or anything. It was just assumed. Naruto, this is an assignment that I can only entrust to your team. You may be all more experienced than the class, but you are also the same age as them and can blend in easier. This will be a long-term mission till the class graduates, Hiruzen said. I guess, Naruto grumbled. Team Firestorm, which was their name since it was a blend both countries' wind and fire, made it to the academy. So this would have been the place where Tenten and I would have gone, Naruto commented as he looked at the academy. It should be interesting to see what they teach, Temari said curiously. Come on, let's get this mission started, Kankuro said as he adjusted the straps that held the puppet on his back. The 5 headed in and found the classroom. They knocked on the door, then were invited in. The entire class was looking at them curiously. The Chunin, who was the teacher, looked at them. He had an X-shaped scar across his nose. Can I help you? The Chunin instructor asked. Yeah, here you go, Naruto said, tossing the Chunin the scroll that held the details of Team Firestorm's mission. The Chunin read the scroll and his eyes widened as he looked at the 5. This was going to be very interesting. He had heard about the group, but never thought he'd actually meet them. Well, class, I'd like to introduce you to your new instructors, the Chunin said, turning back to the room. This caused many shouts and questions, which were very hard to understand since the whole class was talking at once. How can they be instructors? They are the same age as us. They can be stronger than Sasuke? I bet I am stronger than they are. Troublesome. HN. Along with many other shouts and questions. Before the Chunin could regain control of his class, Gaara took care of it. Quiet, Gaara said with some killer intent laced in his voice. This had everyone close their mouths as a Ki wave hit them. They had never ever felt Ki before. Gaara though held back a lot of his Ki, but it still felt like a tidal wave to the academy students. Since they have never felt Ki hit them before. Thanks, Gaara, but next time cut the killer intent a bit. We don't want them to have soiled underwear for the rest of class, Naruto said with a slight chuckle. Gaara just shrugged. It got the job done and that was all he cared about. He didn't care for loud things. Right. If you could all introduce yourselves, the Chunin said, recovering faster from the Ki than the rest of the class since it wasn't directed at him. And to him it was pretty weak to Ki he's felt before. Very well. Ladies first, Naruto said, gesturing to both of his fiancées. My name is Tenten, Special Genin. I am a part of joint team between Suna and Konoha, the weapons mistress of Team Firestorm, Tenten said, bowing. My name is Temari Sabaku, Special Genin. I am a part of joint team between Suna and Konoha, the wind mistress of Team Firestorm, Temari said, bowing. My name is Kankuro Sabaku, Special Genin. I am a part of joint team between Suna and Konoha, the puppeteer of Team Firestorm, Kankuro said, bowing. My name is Gaara Sabaku, Special Genin. I am a part of joint team between Suna and Konoha, The Master of Sand of Team Firestorm Gaara said, bowing. And I am Naruto Uzumaki, Special Genin. I am a part of joint team between Suna and Konoha, Seal Master and the leader of Team Firestorm, Naruto said, bowing. The rest of the time in class, Naruto and his team watched the students with slight interest. Naruto did get bored when the Chunin instructor, who they found was named Irika, began to lecture. To cure his boredom, Naruto pulled out a few scrolls and began working on seals so he wouldn't fall asleep like he saw a few members of the class did. Tenten listened to what was being said, as did Temari. Kankuro wasn't, as he was thinking of what his new puppet should be. He even had a notebook out jotting down ideas for the new puppet. Gaara just leaned against the wall looking disinterested in everything going on. The five did watch the entire class, picking out which were clan heirs and those who were either civilians or from shinobi families, but weren't clans. Soon the bell rang and it was time for lunch. Naruto sighed and gathered what he had worked on and put it away. He was close on making a new seal. The others followed him out of the classroom. Scene break. Outside, Team Firestorm found a spot to relax. They didn't have much peace till it was broken. Incoming, Gaara warned as he felt several chakra signatures coming towards them. This had the rest of the team become alert. Even though they knew they were on friendly ground, it was best to stay sharp. Never know when an attack could happen. In front of them was a boy about their age. He had black hair and the hairstyle that resembled a duck's, but if you looked at it in a certain angle, and onyx eyes. He had several girls following behind him. They were all staring at the boy like he was a god or something. Tenten and Temari knew these were fangirls right away and already had a dislike for them. Yes, can we help you? Tenten asked politely. The boy ignored her and turned to Naruto. Fight me, he demanded. I think introductions are in order first, since I have no idea who you are, Naruto said, though he had a good idea who the boy was just by looking at him. I am Sasuke Uchiha, now fight me, Sasuke demanded. HM and Uchiha. Tempting, but I think it would be bad for me fighting a student, Naruto said, sounding bored. Sasuke didn't like this answer and flung a kunai at Naruto. The kunai never reached the blonde as a wall of sand rose up, blocking and engulfing the metal object. The sand then moved to Tenten, who had her hand out, and the kunai dropped into her open palm. Attacking a teacher is also not very smart, Temari said, frowning at Sasuke. Sasuke and the girls that were with him were shocked at the sight they had just seen. How'd you do that? A pink-haired girl asked / screeched. Didn't you even pay attention at all? Gaara is the master of sand, Tenten said, as her ears were still ringing slightly at the sheer volume of the girl's voice. It had to be inhuman to be that loud. Yeah, but how? No jutsu can do that? A long-haired blonde asked in a loud though more controlled volume. Gaara has special control over sand, Naruto said. Sasuke glared at Gaara. Fight me, he demanded. You don't interest me, Gaara said in a bored tone. This pissed Sasuke off and he threw a punch at Gaara. His fist never reached the redhead as his fist was swallowed by a wall of sand. Sasuke tried to pull back, but found his hand and wrist trapped in the sand. Hey, let Sasuke go! The pink-haired girl shouted / screeched. Team Firestorm winced at the shrill tone. What the heck was that girl's voice made out of? Was this some kind of unknown Kekkai Genkai or something? No girl could have a voice that high and shrill. Let him go, Gaara. We don't want any trouble, Naruto said. Yeah, and I want to keep my hearing, Kankuro muttered as he rubbed his ears. Gaara grumbled, but released Sasuke. Sasuke pulled back and glared at Gaara and Naruto. He then left in a huff with his group of girls following him. Well, that was an Uchiha. I got to say I am not that impressed, Kankuro said. I don't know. Itachi wasn't bad at all, Naruto said. He was the exception, Naruto. The rest of the Uchiha we've met were all asses, Tenten said. I have to agree with you on that one, Temari said. I'm starving, Gaara said. Temari sighed as she pulled out a big scroll and then released some chakra into it. A big picnic spread appeared before them all. Well, let's eat, Naruto said. They all sat down and began eating. Scene break. The days at the academy were boring for Team Firestorm. Tenten and Temari were angry of what they teach kunoichis. Girls were being taught flower arranging and tea ceremonies. Where the hell would that come in handy when you're in a fight for your life? This just really annoyed the two kunoichi of Firestorm, since it degraded women, making them weaker than the boys. Thinking that kunoichi didn't really needed to be trained for combat, to leave that up to the guys since they got more training in fighting than the girls. What pleased Firestorm very much though was that they were put in charge of the physical aspect of the curriculum. They put the class through rigorous trials. First they had them run laps, 50 of them, around the building. Then they'd do jumping jacks, sit-ups and push-ups. After that they'd let them cool down. The students that were from civilian families were spent after 5 laps, and it took the team some creative ways to get the stragglers motivated. It seemed that the girls were a big part of that. Tenten and Temari were very displeased with this, and pushed them harder than the rest. As for the children from clans, they took the training in stride, though they were exhausted afterwards too. Come on, pick up the pace, Naruto said. How come you aren't doing this? The pink-haired girl asked. We do. We do it every morning and we're wearing weights, Temari said as she showed the ankle weights she was wearing. There were grumbles from some of the students, though the guys stared at Temari's legs a bit since they were quite nice. Naruto didn't like this one bit, but said nothing. Come on, keep going or we'll have Gaara give you a push like last time, Kankuro said with a smirk. This caused the few who were dragging their feet speed up since Gaara hated people who were slow and was the most creative in motivating them. Sand did so many amazing things. For instance, a whip made of sand. Being chased by a sand-made beast also kept the academy students motivated too. Plus humorous for Team Firestorm to watch. When the physical training was done, Team Firestorm would hand the class over to Irika again for lessons. Scene break / Ah man, it's great to be off for the weekend, Naruto said, stretching. It was the weekend and Team Firestorm were walking the streets enjoying the freedom of not being on the clock for once. Since they started their mission at the academy, they were working non-stop really. Making up training programs for the students, rating where each student was at and how to motivate them. It took a lot of work, especially when you're not used to this kind of work in the first place. Plus they had to keep up with their own training so they didn't get rusty from being out of the field. Yeah, we've been working so much that having a break is nice, Temari said as she enjoyed the warm sunlight. Tenten nodded as she twirled a kunai in her hand, then she tossed it in the air, catch it, twirl it, then throw in the air and catch, then repeat the process over. Team Firestorm, it's nice to meet you again. The entire team turned around and smiled at who was speaking to them. Hey Itachi, how are you? Naruto asked. In front of them was Itachi Uchiha, a member of the elite Umbu force and a friend of theirs since they worked together a few times on missions. I am fine, Naruto, though I've heard that my brother has made you a rival of sorts, Itachi said with amusement. No offense Itachi, but your brother has nothing on Naruto, Tenten said. I'd have to agree with that. Naruto is far better than he is, but Sasuke is also very strong too. Plus he is young and doesn't have the experience and training Naruto has had, Itachi said. He'd have to get through Gaara before ever getting to me, and Gaara is almost as strong as I am, Naruto said. Gaara was very protective of his family, and since Naruto would be his brother-in-law and he considered Tenten as a sister, and anyone threatening either one would in for a world of pain. Itachi nodded. He knew from sparring with Gaara that the redhead was tough. He could still feel a few of the sand burns he got during their sparring matches. They hurt a lot. Plus he still found sand in his clothes even days after their spars. That was very uncomfortable to say the least. Well, I'd better go. I have a mission, he said, then left. Itachi is the best and friendliest Uchiha in that entire clan, Kankuro said. What about Mikoto Uchiha? She's the head of the clan. I've heard she's very nice too, Temari said. Haven't met her at all, so who knows, Kankuro said with a shrug. I have, Naruto said. This had the 4 other members of the team look at Naruto. When did you meet her? Tenten asked. Oh, when we were training here once. She is very nice, and I don't understand why only she and Itachi are nice and the rest of the clan were assholes, Naruto said. The once head of the Uchiha clan, Fugaku Uchiha, had plotted a coup d'etat against the Hokage, but his plans were ruined and he was assassinated by an Umbu force led by Itachi, and they slew all the Uchiha that were a part of the coup d'etat. The only Uchihas that stayed alive were the ones not involved with the coup. That meant all the elders were dead along with some other high-ranking Uchihas as well. Only a couple dozen Uchiha were left, and they were all loyal to Konoha and the Hokage. The Uchiha clan had to be all interrogated after the purge to find out where their loyalties lie. The clan lost a lot of their grand prestige, along with them losing the police force they ran and other harsh penalties. But Mikoto, the new head, has been making strides in making the Uchiha a name that people could trust again, with Itachi and other Konoha-loyal Uchiha helping improve their clan's status through the shinobi side. Mikoto is also the mother of Itachi and Sasuke, and she is grooming Itachi to take her place as clan head. Itachi could have taken over as head right away, but didn't feel ready, so Mikoto took over till Itachi was ready to handle the job. This pissed Sasuke off so much since he grew up on his father's and many of the now dead Uchiha rhetoric of them being the elite, and all other clans and bloodlines are below them. He was so influenced by those people that Mikoto and Itachi did everything they could to change Sasuke's attitude. None of them worked so far, and that's why Mikoto was holding and grooming Itachi for clan head rather than Sasuke. She knew that Itachi would keep the Uchiha clan on the right road, so Sasuke was working hard on proving them all wrong by training to kill his brother, and then take the top spot and bring the Uchiha clan back to its former glory that his father wanted. Scene break / Hiruzen sat at his desk trying futile in defeating Akage's worst enemy ever. Paperwork. There was just so much of it, and it never ended. He cursed Minato for leaving and making him do all this annoying work. There was so many idiotic requests from the villagers that it gave him a headache. He took a glance away from the stack he still had to go through, and when he looked back he could have sworn the stack had doubled or tripled in size. What the hell, was the stack growing on its own or something? A knock on the door was his saving grace. Come in, he said with great relief in his voice, and enter Team Firestorm for their routine status report. Team Firestorm. How goes your mission so far? Hiruzen asked as he lit up his pipe. There's some talent in the group, Naruto said. What my loving fiancé is saying, Lord Hokage, is that certain students show promise to become capable shinobi, Temari said. That's what I said, Naruto said. We know, Naruto, Tenten said, patting Naruto's shoulder. Naruto pouted. I see. Who specifically do you think have this promise? Hiruzen said. The Inuzuka does, though he needs to learn how to keep a level head and not to rush into things. His brash charge and without a thought action could get himself killed, and probably his team, Tenten said. The Nara. Though he is very lazy, he is also very intelligent too. He will make a good tactician, Gaara said. The Aburame also has great skill too. He'll go far. He keeps a cool head and is pretty smart too, Temari said. I see, what about Sasuke Uchiha? Hiruzen asked. That emo bastard? He's alright, but does he have one huge rusty kunai up his ass? I mean, he has no personality at all. It's amazing that Itachi and Sasuke are even related despite that they kinda look alike, Naruto said. I see. And the girls, any strong possible kunoichi there? Hiruzen asked. No, there are none that are even up to par. They are all smitten over the emo Uchiha, and are neglecting their own skills, fawning over the brooding emo, Temari said, frowning. Not true really. Hinata Hyuga doesn't act like the rest of the girls in the class, though she does need a strong female role model to give her a backbone. She's too timid, shy and caring to be a kunoichi, Tenten said. Why don't you and Tenten take her under your wing? Naruto suggested. Great idea, Naruto, Tenten said, then kissed the sun-colored blonde on the cheek. Naruto smiled and blushed. Though he was used to this kind of affection by both Tenten and Temari, it still made him blush. They had decided to keep their affection at a minimum for now, and they'd have their first kiss with Naruto when he reached his 14th birthday. They thought that would be a nice present for him and them. They talked more about the rest of the class, and Hiruzen found their insights very interesting and colorful. Though Naruto really didn't like Sasuke at all, and it showed as he made many comments about the youngest Uchiha along with questioning the boy's sexuality, since he always ran away from the girls that stalked him, to ranting about how much an emo Sasuke was. With all this, Hiruzen was coming up with a plan that would hopefully motivate the class, not to mention would help him evaluate where the entire class are, and what they need to work on for future classes. He knew that the academy wasn't turning out as good as Shinobi as before and wanted to change that, and this was going to be the first steps. But right now he had to finish the paperwork he had on his desk. Team Firestorm left, and he got back to work only to find that the stack had turned into 5 stacks, and they were all big ones. Hiruzen began crying and throwing a tantrum, claiming it wasn't fair. The portraits of the past Kages seemed to watch on in amusement of this sight. Scene break. A few days later, Iruka looked at the form in his hand. Are you sure this is a smart idea, Lord Hokage? The Chunin instructor asked after he had read it for the 5th time. I am. I believe this will be a great way at really testing your class skills against seasoned shinobi, Hiruzen said with utmost confidence. If you say so, Lord Hokage, Iruka said. He then bowed and left the Hokage office, feeling this won't end very well no matter what the Hokage had said. Scene break. The next day, on the bulletin board outside the classroom was a sign-up form. What was the sign-up form for, if you may ask? It was to participate in a tournament against Team Firestorm. The tournament was for any who wished to take on any member of Team Firestorm. It would basically be the class against the Suna/Konoha team. Well, for those who signed up, that is. Sasuke was the first to sign up since he wanted to beat Naruto and Gaara. His 2 very avid fangirls, Sakura and Ino, signed up so they could show their Sasuke how good they really are. The rest of Sasuke's fangirls signed up, also not wanting to be shown up by the 2 aforementioned girls. Kiba signed up since he thought he could win hands down. Shino signed up to test his skills. Shikamaru signed up though he thought it would be very troublesome. Chuji signed since Shikamaru signed up. Others in class just followed the clan heir's lead, wanting to test their skills and show off to the girls. Scene break. Team Firestorm looked over the final list of who they'd face. They saw it was most of the class they'd be facing. They weren't daunted by this at all, since they knew they could take them even if they didn't go all out. They didn't want to kill anyone in the class, though Naruto wouldn't have minded if he had accidentally killed a certain emo. Well, how are we going to split this up? Naruto asked. I'll take the Akimichi and Aburame, Kankuro said. The Inuzuka, Gaara said. Temari and I will split up the fangirls, Tenten said. Temari nodded in agreement with this. I'll fight the Hyuga, Tenten said. Everyone agreed on this. They then divided up who was left. Then that leaves me, the emo, Naruto said. Please, you want to face him anyways, Temari said, rolling her eyes. Naruto made no move to deny it. Remember, Naruto, you can't kill him, Temari said. Naruto pouted. Why not? It will be one less emo to worry about, and I am pretty sure he's the king of them all, he whined. No killing, Naruto. I don't think the Hokage will like the paperwork that will come if you do, Temari said. Fine, Naruto said, folding his arms and pouting. Well then, shall we begin to train? Tenten asked. Let's, Naruto said. Team Firestorm headed to the training ground they were given by the Hokage so they could train. The training ground was quite big and had more than enough room for them all to work on some of their more destructive attacks, though they didn't practice with them often due to how much they tear up the grounds when they do. It even had a small waterfall and pools so Tenten could practice her water jutsu. Scene break. Word spread about the tournament, and on the day there were a huge audience made up of clan heads, the civilian council, the elders, the Hokage himself, several shinobi and other civilians. All wanting to see the clan heirs face off against this joint team of Suna and Konoha. The shinobi and clan heads all have heard of the exploits of the team, and were very anxious to see them in action. Iruka was the proctor for the fights, and to make sure nothing went wrong. The fights turned out to pretty lackluster to begin with. Temari decided to fight most of her fangirls she picked all at once. She knew they were no match for her and decided to give them a chance by having them all go at her at once. They didn't last long and were beaten a couple minutes in. As soon as the match began, they all blindly charged at Temari, and she blew them all away with one low-medium powered wind jutsu. Though she did give them chances at fighting back, but none of the attacks hit her at all, as she easily avoided them because of how sloppy they were. Temari blew them all away again, and the ones able to get up tried again. This didn't go on very long, and soon Irika called the match as soon as the last girl was down. Temari didn't even look winded at all as she rested herself up against her fan, looking bored. It was the same with Tenten with her fan girls she selected, though hers was different since she couldn't use wind jutsus like Temari. Instead, she pulled out her katana she favored, and as soon as the match began, the weapons mistress went through all of her opponents, cutting them up. The cuts were shallow and non-life-threatening, though they stung like hell. And like Temari, she gave the girls tons of chance, but like before, none of the girls could hit her, plus all their attacks were quite weak and pathetic. She then sealed the katana back, and Irika called the match knowing Tenten won. Temari and Tenten decided to save Sakura and Ino, Sasuke's two main fangirls, for later. Though Tenten would also be facing Hinata Hyuga too, Naruto, Gaara and Kankuro divided up all the boys in the class and took them out easily. They of course made sure that the boys had a good enough chance, but they were beaten by the three boys solidly. Next was Gaara's match with Kiba. Gaara blocking all of Kiba and Akamaru's attacks with his sand. Kiba never got close and was pinned by Gaara's sand, ending the match in 5 minutes. But Gaara did give Kiba many chances, but each one repelled by Gaara's sand, and it didn't seem Kiba was learning his lesson as he kept charging in with his partner Akamaru. The Inuzuka lad never thought to change his tactic of charging headlong into his opponent. His mother and sister sighed and shook their heads. They'd need to have a talk with him later. Kankuro took down both the Akimichi and Aburame separately. His match with Chuji was easy enough, but Chuji would be a powerhouse in the future. The Akimichi just needed to focus more on training than eating, really. Kankuro got Chuji with a poison from his puppet. The poison wasn't fatal or anything, but it burned and hurt. The match with the Aburame was tough with him using his bugs very effectively. Kankuro tried his puppets, but that didn't work, and even Genjutsu, which the Aburame figured out and dispelled easily. But Kankuro got around that, relying on his taijutsu and getting close to the Aburame. The Aburame wasn't expecting this at all, and when Kankuro went at him in close combat, the Aburame could hold off for just a while, then he was defeated. Naruto fought against Shikamaru since it was decided he would be the best challenge to the Nara. It held true since the Nara was quite smart and did his best to take down Naruto, but Naruto was too unpredictable for the Nara and in the end lost. Shikamaru thought this was all too troublesome and was so glad it was over and he could go back to napping and watching clouds. Tenten's match against Hinata was short, with Tenten winning, but she did her best to encourage Hinata during their fight. Hinata gained much confidence towards the end of the fight, but still lost. Tenten helped Hinata up afterwards and gave Hinata some encouraging parting words. Temari used one wind jutsu on Ino to defeat her. It started off with Temari letting Ino have the first attack. It was quite pathetic and easily dodged. Temari then blew away the long-haired blonde, making her land somewhat hard against the trunk of a tree. She didn't even use a strong wind jutsu against Ino. It was all very sad and pathetic. Inoichi Yamanaka looked so disappointed with his daughter to be beaten so easily and knew he would have to have some words with his daughter after this and also up her training a lot. He understood that Temari may be stronger and have more experience, but Ino brought a bit of shame to the Yamanaka clan for how pathetic she was. Tenten's match against Sakura started off the same like Temari's against Ino. Tenten allowed Sakura to make the first move. Sakura came charging in like a wild bull with her fist cocked, thinking she could take Tenten out with one punch and Sasuke would fall for her. Tenten sighed and shook her head at this sorry excuse of an attack and sidestepped the assault. Sakura spun around ready to attack again, but Tenten kicked the pink-haired girl hard, sending her flying to the tree. The weapons mistress then threw out a barrage of kunai, pinning Sakura to the tree. This is where Team Firestorm learned where the origins of Sakura's banshee ways. Her mother was screeching and wailing that Tenten should be punished for harming her precious Sakura. Everyone ignored the elder banshee, though their ears still rung for those who were close to the head banshee. A lot of the shinobi there could see some potential in a few of the students, even though they lost. It was because who they were going up against were more experienced than the students. Though they knew that the team was going easy on their opponents, and not even trying really. But what disgusted them, and it was mainly the seasoned kunoichi, was the way the girls acted and fought. Fangirls gave all kunoichis a bad name, and seeing this made them very angry indeed. Hinata was the only small silver lining in the huge dark cloud. The final match was Naruto and Sasuke. Many were looking forward to this one, having an Uchiha against the leader of Team Firestorm. For those who have seen and heard of Team Firestorm knew Naruto would be tough to beat. But most of the civilians thought that the Uchiha would triumph since he was an Uchiha and couldn't lose. It seemed the civilians still held the Uchiha up even after the clan's attempted revolt. "Don't hurt him too much," Tenten said, kissing Naruto on the cheek. "Yeah, leave at least a tiny shred of his pride left," Temari said, copying Tenten's actions, though she kissed Naruto's other cheek. "Don't worry. I won't even have to go all out on him," Naruto said with a grin. Gaara nodded to Naruto and Kankuro gave Naruto a thumbs up. Naruto and Sasuke stood facing one another. Sasuke was glaring down at Naruto, hoping to make Naruto forfeit. Naruto wasn't even fazed by Sasuke's pathetic attempt in intimidation. He looked bored. Ready? Begin! Iruka shouted. Sasuke charged in at Naruto with his fist cocked back, wanting to end the match quickly. Naruto sidestepped the punch at the last second. Sasuke growled and spun around with a roundhouse kick. Naruto hopped backwards to avoid the attack. Sasuke kept up his assault of kicks and punches as you could hear his fangirls cheering loudly. Naruto ducked, dodged, and evaded each attempt like it was nothing. The shinobi in the audience were amazed how effortlessly Naruto was dodging each of Sasuke's attacks and knew Naruto wasn't even trying at all. The civilians were cheering on Sasuke to beat Naruto, though they made sure to not call Naruto a demon since the Hokage was present, and they knew the penalty of doing so since the Hokage's law was still in effect. Why aren't you attacking me, loser? Afraid I might beat you, Sasuke growled. No, just getting the feel of how you fight. And I've found it to be pathetic, Naruto said as he dodged another punch. You use the interceptor style that all Uchiha use, but it only works when you have the Sharingan since you can anticipate your opponent's movements. Without the Sharingan, it's a worthless fighting style to use. Sasuke's anger rose at this, and his attacks began more violent and wild. First that his fighting was pathetic, then pointing out he didn't have the Sharingan, and that his fighting style was worthless without it. It didn't matter if Naruto was right. The point was Naruto revealed the flaws in Sasuke's fighting. Now Sasuke, a shinobi, is in control of his emotions at all times, Naruto lectured. Shut up, Sasuke growled. Soon one of his punches landed, but as it made contact on Naruto, and the blonde went up in smoke. What the? Sasuke asked, shocked. That would be a shadow clone, Sasuke. Something that's right now totally above you to learn. But now let the match start in earnest, Naruto said. The real blonde was up in a tree, sitting on a tree branch, munching on an apple happily without a care in the world. When did Naruto make a shadow clone? That question was on the mind of every shinobi in the crowd since they didn't see him do any hand signs at all. Naruto had created the shadow clone just as soon as the match began, darting up the tree to watch the exciting action. Sasuke got really pissed at this. Naruto wasn't treating him at all like a real opponent. He began making hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. A big fireball came out and headed right at Naruto. Naruto looked up from his spot and used Kawarimi to get away. Nice, very nice. I can see you know the Uchiha fire jutsus very well, Naruto said as he tossed remnants of his apple away. Sasuke was panting since he put a lot of chakra into that jutsu. Looks like even though you know the fire jutsus you don't have any control over your chakra. Not very bright, since you can exhaust yourself easily without control, Naruto commented. Sasuke had it. He pulled out a kunai and charged at Naruto with the intention to kill. Naruto stood there till Sasuke was close and then grabbed the Uchiha's wrist, twisting it sharply till it snapped. Sasuke screamed in pain as his wrist was broken, that the sound of his kunai hitting the ground wasn't even heard. Naruto let go of Sasuke's wrist, and he fell to the ground, gently grasping his broken wrist. Naruto pulled out his katana and held the sharp edge gently against Sasuke's neck. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki, Iruka said. Naruto sheathed his katana and then walked back to his friends and fiancés. Everyone was shocked upon seeing what had just happened. The shinobi liked what they saw with Naruto, and they all agreed they'd like to be teamed up with him and his team in the future. Naruto was strong, very strong, and he wasn't even showing an ounce of his true power yet. Then there was the team, and they were just as good as him. The civilians were outraged that an Uchiha had lost and thought Naruto had cheated somehow. It was the only explanation for the outcome. The civilians and the council were deluded in thinking of the Uchiha being the top clan in the village. This was the same mindset Sasuke's fangirls were in too. Nobody could beat their beloved Sasuke. Sasuke grabbed his fallen kunai and hurled it with his good hand as hard as he could at Naruto's back. There were gasps upon seeing such a dishonorable act. A few shinobi were about to intervene when a wall of sand rose up, stopping the kunai, and swallowed it before it even got close to Naruto. A cowardly act, attacking a shinobi in the back. I should kill you, Gaara said, glaring at Sasuke, his sand ready to swallow and bury Sasuke in an instant. Leave it, Gaara. Let the Uchihas handle it, Naruto said, not even looking back. Gaara sent one last glare at Sasuke, then let his sand go. The wall disappeared and the kunai was on the ground. He then turned away, following Naruto and the others. Mikoto tended to her son and scolded him for doing such a dirty and dishonorable tactic. Itachi was also there and frowned at his little brother. Things were not going to be good for Sasuke. Scene break. The results of the little tournament was fair, though the whole class needed a lot of work. Definitely the girls. Hiruzen decided to enlist the help of a few kunoichi to get them into shape. A special jounin named Anko Mitarashi was one of them, and Hiruzen prayed for the girls. It was a known fact that Anko was a bit unhinged, I guess you could say. But she was number 2 in the T&I department, and that had to count for something, right? As for the boys' side, they all showed some promise, but needed work too. Sasuke was one that needed a lot. He had a lot of issues and they all needed to be addressed. Scene break. It seemed that the class got a lot harder as new lessons and training were implemented. The kunoichi enlisted started whipping the girls into shape, with Temari and Tenten helping out. Tenten mainly focused on Hinata helping the shy Hyuga gain some much-needed self-confidence. Another kunoichi, a jounin named Kurenai, helped Tenten in this endeavor. Temari with Anko and other kunoichi pushed the girls in the class, making them work harder than any of the girls had ever worked before. If they even worked in the first place, that is. Which most if not all of them hadn't, since their only thought was to look pretty for Sasuke. Why do we have to do this? One girl complained. You wanted to be kunoichi and this is what you'll have to endure. You will be going on missions that could end your life. You should be prepared for anything, thus we're training you all to be ready for anything, Temari said. But how will this make Sasuke look at us? We're filthy. We have to look pretty for him, Sakura said /whined. Temari and the gathered kunoichi growled at this. They really hated fangirls. Temari though had an answer for this. The Uchiha doesn't want a weak girl by his side. He wants someone strong, so if you all work hard then you have a better chance at bagging the emo, Temari said. There were shouts about Sasuke being an emo, but it worked. All the girls began working harder so Sasuke would notice them. Nice job, Temari. Way to motivate them, an umbu named Yugao Yuzuki said. Thanks, though I hate using this to motivate them. They should be motivated enough, Temari said, shaking her head sadly. If they start slacking I'll introduce some lovely snakes to them. That'll get them moving, Anko said with a devious grin playing on her lips. She so hoped that the girls would slack off, then it would be more fun for her. You scare me, Anko, Hana Inuzuka said, shaking her head at her friend's twisted behavior. Anko looked proud of this. This just caused the other kunoichi to sigh and shake their heads. Meanwhile, Naruto, Gaara and Kankuro were overseeing the boys' training. Along with them was Irika, the Chunin instructor. Come on, keep it up, Kankuro said sternly. Right now the boys were all working on dodging with Gaara using his sand shuriken. He was hurling the sand-made projectiles at all the guys as they stood in a semicircle around Gaara. Ah, come on, we've been at this for hours. Can't we take a break? Kiba asked, panting. Nope, and get that mud out of your coat. He's going through this too, Kankuro said. What, why? Kiba asked. Because it would do Akamaru some good to learn how to dodge in the long run, Naruto said as he looked up from his scroll he was reading. Kiba grumbled and took Akamaru out of his coat. Go easy on the pup to start, Naruto told Gaara. Gaara nodded and began firing sand shurikens at the dog at a slower pace than the others. Sasuke kept glaring at Naruto. He was still seething at his defeat and his mom and brother scolding him for throwing a kunai at Naruto's back. He hated how both his mom and Itachi seemed to have Naruto up on a pedestal of some kind. He was an Uchiha, and that meant he was the elite. How could he have lost to a clan-less loser like Naruto? It just wasn't possible. Uchiha, pay attention. Gaara almost hit an artery in your neck, Naruto snapped. Sasuke just glared even harder at Naruto. You think you're so good at this, then you do it, the Uchiha growled. Naruto sighed. He turned to Kankuro and Gaara. Kankuro shrugged and Gaara. Well, Gaara wanted to shut the Uchiha up with his sand, but knew he couldn't. Too much paperwork for the Hokage and all the fallout that would come with it, blah blah blah. Fine. You all take a break, Naruto said. All the boys collapsed and Naruto got in place. He nodded to Gaara and Gaara began firing off sand shurikens at a rate faster than he did with the boys. Naruto ducked, dodged, bobbed and weaved through the sand-made objects, not even getting hit by any of them. This shocked many of the boys at the sight, though Sasuke looked pissed. While this was going on, the girls along with the kunoichi joined the boys and watched Naruto evade all the projectiles. Show off. My Sasuke can do that with his eyes closed, Sakura said. Yeah, he's got nothing on my Sasuke, Ino said. Eyes closed, huh? Hey Naruto, you've got a challenge. Do it with your eyes closed. Tenten shouted. Naruto nodded, and without pausing he closed his eyes and kept on dodging. Gaara sped up his assault and everyone witnessed that Naruto was still not getting hit at all. A few though would be mere inches from touching him, but never came in contact. How's that? Temari asked with a smirk. Whatever. He's probably going easy on him, Ino said, huffed. Temari clutched her fan, wanting to hit the air-headed blonde in the head. How dare she think Gaara would be going easy on Naruto? Sure, they were best friends, brothers even, but that didn't mean they didn't go all out when they sparred. Though they made sure they didn't kill one another, they still fought hard against each other. Actually, Gaara is trying to really hurt him. A lot of those sand shurikens have been aimed at vital points on Naruto's body, and if they hit it would mean major blood loss or death, Yugao said in observation. The other seasoned kunoichi nodded as they watched the spectacle in awe. Gaara, you better not be aiming at that spot. Temari shouted. Of course not, Sister, Gaara said casually, never ceasing his attack, though he was a bit scared of his sister, and cringed a bit inwardly. He definitely made sure he stayed away from that area or feel the wrath of his sister and Tenten. That was a fate worse than death. Hell, the Shinigami would be pissing its pants if he ever faced off against a pissed-off Tenten and Temari. They were just plain frightening when they were angry. Gaara finally stopped his attacks and Naruto sighed as he wiped the sweat that was covering his brow. He walked over and plopped down in between Tenten and Temari, who were sitting next to one another, and made room for their future husband. Tenten handed Naruto a towel and Temari handed him a water bottle. Get a good workout, Naruto? Tenten asked. Yeah, haven't had one like that for a while. It was fun, Naruto said, smiling. Tenten and Temari smiled as they shook their heads. Their betrothed had a weird definition of fun. So, how was your training going? Naruto asked. Fine so far, but we needed to really kick it up. But they aren't ready for that, Tenten said. Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the really hard stuff yet, Temari said. What, you've had us hanging upside down from a tree lifting 2 buckets full of water around our shoulders all morning, Sakura said. Yeah, and why is the Hyuga getting personal training? Ino asked. Sasuke heard this and his head snapped up. I am an Uchiha, I should be the one getting personal training. Not a Hyuga, he said angrily. Hinata needs more work on a personal level than the lot of you. As for you Uchiha, we really don't care about you at all, Naruto said, waving Sasuke off. Sasuke glared at Naruto and pulled a kunai only for him, unable to move his hand. He found that his wrist was wrapped with sand, which stopped him from committing his act. Are we really going to have to go through this again? Gaara asked in now very bored tone. Sasuke had made several attempts, and they were attempts, to attack Naruto whether his back was turned or not. Every time Gaara trapped him in his sand. It was getting really pathetic now. Okay, break is over. Back to training, Kankuro said, getting up. Loud groans were heard after this from the students. No buts, if you don't get in gear then we'll have Anko run the rest of the drills for today, and the next couple ones as well too, Temari said. This got the girls running since they all knew how sadistic the snake user could be. This disappointed Anko, though she was really looking forward in training the girls. Tenten and Kurenai led Hinata away to help boost her self-confidence as well as her training. As for you guys, let's go or Gaara will be running things and not Kankuro, Naruto said. Kankuro was a slave driver, that was for sure. But Gaara was a slave driver's worst nightmare. He was relentless and barely gave them a break when he was in charge. The boys got up, not wanting Gaara leading the training sessions. This is going to be a long year, Naruto sighed. Hiruzen sat at his desk with the Jounin, that would be the team instructors for the new class of Genin coming out. Also with them was Team Firestorm. They were there to give the Jounin a better insight on the fresh Genin. Another year, and another wait, where is Kakashi? Hiruzen asked, noticing the chronically late Jounin wasn't with them. Yo, sorry I am late, I was on my way here. But then I was chased by a horde of rabid bees and it took several hours to get rid of them, a masked Jounin said as he entered the room reading a certain orange book. That's got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and I live with Kankuro, Temari said. Yeah, hey. Wait a second, Kankuro said as he realized he had been dissed. Several chuckles were heard from the gathered Jounin. Enough, another year has gone by and it is time for a new batch of Genin to start their career as shinobi in our village. This time it will be different though. As you know, Team Firestorm has been at the academy helping the Genin get ready, and their input will be beneficial to you all. So listen to them. Now let's get started, Hiruzen said. The gathered Jounin looked at the Konoha/Suna team. I'll take the new Inoshikacho team, a man that looked like the Hokage said. They'll be good together. But you'll need to motivate the Nara, and the Yamanaka has to get rid of her fangirl nature for her to be a great kunoichi. The Akimichi also needs some motivation as well, since all he seems to do is eat, Temari said. Sounds interesting, the bearded Jounin said as he took the files. I'll take the Inuzuka, Abirame, and Hyuga, Kurenai said. Why them? Tenten asked. They'd make a good tracking team, Kurenai said. That's all good. But you shouldn't place 3 trackers in one team. Spread them out so the other teams have a tracker in them, Kankuro said. What do you mean? A Jounin asked. He means that it would be beneficial to have a tracker on each team in case they need one. Besides, if you have a team of all trackers then they could be easily eliminated since none will have the skill of combat on their side, Gaara said. This made all the Jounin think and they agreed with what was said. They had lost plenty of tracking teams over the years since there wasn't one in the group that specialized in combat really. Have the Inuzuka team up with the Nara and Akimichi. It would do some good for him to learn to be patient, and he can get it from those two, Temari said. The Hyuga can be placed with the Yamanaka and that Maki person. The Hyuga can be their tracker as well as the close combat specialist, while the Yamanaka can provide support, and Maki can help with his Kenjutsu, Kankuro said. The Abirame should be placed with the Uchiha and the Haruno girl, Naruto said. Why that mix, Naruto? Hiruzen asked curiously. He's the only one that could stand both the Uchiha's emo brooding behavior and the Haruno's screeching ways, Naruto said. The rest of the teams were created after that with the input of Team Firestorm. I see, those teams seemed well balanced, I guess. Do any of you see a problem with them? Hiruzen asked. There was no objections. Good, now you Jounin can pick your team, Hiruzen said. The teams were picked with the Hokage-looking Jounin taking the Inuzuka, Nara, and Akimichi, and Kurenai took the Yamanaka, Maki, and Hyuga. The other teams were selected with Kakashi taking the team with the Uchiha. Very well. Thank you all for coming and good luck with your teams, Hiruzen said. The Jounin left with Team Firestorm staying behind. Well, your mission is over. I thank you for all of your hard work, Hiruzen said with a smile. Thank you, Lord Hokage, Temari said, bowing. Gaara, Kankuro, and Tenten mirrored this with Naruto shooting a thumbs up and a foxy grin. Now, let's see what missions I have for you, Hiruzen said as he looked through the stack of missions he had. /scene break / It didn't take long for Team Firestorm was back doing regular missions. They were happy to be out of the village after being in there for so long. It was like stretching your arms and legs after being in a cramped airplane seat. Man, it feels good not having to babysit those brats anymore, Kankuro said with happiness in his voice. Yes, it was an annoyance, Gaara said with a nod of his head. Don't know, I found it kind of fun beating those girls into shape, Temari said with a smirk. I just love your sadistic side, Temari. It just makes you glow, Tenten said sarcastically. Temari just stuck out her tongue at her best friend in reply. That's mature, Tenten commented with a snort. Naruto chuckled watching his two fiancées act so childish. Though they were on their way to eliminate a bandit camp that has been causing much trouble within the borders of Fire Country. Okay guys, we're close. Game faces on, Naruto said firmly. The rest of the team nodded, and they got serious. They arrived and heard the bandits talking loudly about the stuff they just stole. Man, that was easy. The village barely even fought back, one said. Yeah, we're getting good at this. Maybe we should think bigger. Go after the towns next? Another suggested. Yeah, there'd be plenty to grab there as well as women too, a third said, laughing pervertedly. Tenten and Temari growled upon hearing this. Temari gripped her fan tightly, ready to do some lethal damage, while Tenten already had several kunai in her hand ready to throw at some very private areas. On my mark, go! Naruto said. The five leapt and ambushed the bandit camp. Temari and Tenten went all out and slew most of the bandits. Temari whipped up a small cyclone filled with some of the bandits. The cyclone cut and shredded the bandits to pieces. While Tenten first hurled her kunai at the bandits' tools. Then she leapt down, pulling out her katana, and began hacking and slashing every bandit she saw to pieces. Kankuro and Gaara providing protection and support for the two pissed-off kunoichi. Gaara used his sand to find and ferry out all the girls and women there. He also used his sand to protect them from any jutsus or kunai that might come their way, as well as to shield them from the carnage being wrought by Tenten and Temari. Kankuro was using his puppets to protect Tenten and Temari's backs, since they were in such a rage that they'd sometimes leave themselves open for an attack. Naruto went for the leader who was trying to flee. He killed him with ease, and when he got back he saw two kunoichi panting heavily and around that utter carnage. Well done, ladies, but maybe you can be a bit cleaner next time, Naruto said as he looked at the slaughter the two girls had committed. Gaara and Kankuro nodded at this. They were both very scared at this point, and didn't want to say a thing to enrage the two killers. Both of them, along with Naruto, were used to killing, though they never liked it at all. But what Tenten and Temari did was, well, overkill really. The men the two girls killed no longer resembled humans anymore. Temari and Tenten, now calmed down, looked around and blushed slightly at the havoc they wrought. Though there was a bit of green in the blush at the bloodbath around them. It was never sight they'd get used to. Nor the smell either. Come on, let's see if these guys had anything worth stealing, then we can go, Naruto said. The boys went looking through the tents for anything of value and found a few things, but nothing much really. The girls tended to the women and girls since they knew that they didn't want a guy anywhere near them anytime soon. After that the boys burned the camp and what was left of the bodies so there wouldn't be any evidence at all. After making camp for the night, the next morning they brought the women and girls back to their village and then headed home to report. Scene break. Several weeks later and several successful missions later, Team Firestorm were in the mission's office standing in front of the Hokage waiting for their next mission when they were interrupted. A certain Genin team burst in with the Emo King leading the charge. I am an Uchiha, I demand a better mission. I am not going to get any stronger by walking, stupid dog, Sasuke said, storming in. Following him was a starry-eyed Sakura, an emotionless Shino, though inwardly he was getting a massive headache, and finally the porn-reading Jounin. I apologize, Lord Hokage, Kakashi said, bowing. No, it's alright, Hiruzen said, waving off Kakashi's apology. Whatever, now give me a mission befitting an Uchiha, Sasuke said / demanded. I will assign you missions that I deem to fit your station, Genin, Hiruzen said, slightly glaring at Sasuke. Sasuke huffed and folded his arms, brooding once again. He needed better missions so he could get stronger, and the stronger he got the better chance he'd have to kill his brother. He hated what his mom was doing to the Uchiha clan and knew he was the only one to set things right. But Itachi was in the way and he'd have to eliminate his own brother, thus the need of wanting better missions to get stronger, more powerful, so he could kill Itachi and become clan head. Then he could make the Uchihas into the most powerful clan in the village like his father wanted. You're a Genin Uchiha. All Genin get the same kind of missions to begin with, Naruto said. I am Uchiha, this stuff is below me, Sasuke said arrogantly. Yeah, Sasuke is way better than these D-rank missions, Sakura screeched. Damn it, I thought we beat that howler monkey out of her, Temari growled as she covered her ears. Yeah, me too, Tenten said, rubbing her abused ears. What are you doing here, if I might ask? Shino asked, turning to Team Firestorm. We're just waiting for a mission from the Hokage, that's all, Gaara said. I demand to get a mission before them. They don't need it as much as I do, Sasuke said. Look, Uchiha, you can demand all you want, but you're not going to get it. We were here first, thus we get first dibs. First come, first served. You'll have to wait like a good little rookie, Genin, Naruto said. Sasuke growled and lunged at Naruto, but was stopped by Kakashi holding him back. I apologize, Naruto, for my student's behavior, Kakashi said. It's alright. He's not going to get any better till someone pulls that gigantic rusty pole out of his butt. Say, Haruno, why don't you try it? You like sniffing around there, right? Naruto asked. Sakura's mouth was doing a good imitation of a fish since she didn't know whether to be offended or not. Gaara chuckled at this while Kankuro laughed out loud. Temari and Tenten, though they found what Naruto said to be crude, couldn't help giggling. Hiruzen was doing his best to keep his laughter in. Shino remained quiet, though his bugs were chittering with laughter. Well, I think it's laughter since I don't think bugs laugh, do they? Kakashi's eye was wide as he tried to hold in his laughter. Sasuke looked pissed with red cheeks due to embarrassment. He wanted to attack Naruto, but Kakashi's hand was still on him, keeping him back. Okay, now that is done with, let's see what I have here for missions, Hiruzen said with as straight a face as he could. Ah, here is one. It's C rank for you, Team Firestorm. You are to escort a bridge builder to Wave. I demand that I get that mission, Sasuke shouted. Yeah, Sasuke needs that more than them, Sakura said. Hiruzen was about to say something, but was stopped. Lord Hokage, how about this? Have them take the mission, and we'll come with as backup. Just in case, Tenten suggested. Hiruzen thought about this. He had heard of rumors of Wave, and what has been going on thanks to Jiraiya's spy network, and what Team Firestorm has told him. He knew that they might face things that no fresh genin team could ever face. Sending Firestorm with them would help greatly. He looked at Kakashi for his opinion. What do you think, Kakashi? He asked. Fine by me, Kakashi said. Okay, Team 7. You are to escort the bridge builder to Wave with Team Firestorm will be there as backup, Hiruzen said. Sasuke was pleased by this, though he believed he could do this mission all by himself. He didn't need any help from anyone. He was an Uchiha after all, the elite of the elite. Send the bridge builder in, Hiruzen called. The bridge builder, named Suna, entered the mission room and he reeked heavily of sake. He took one look at the group before him and making disparaging remarks about them all. He was soon enveloped by sand till only his head was seen. Had a kunai was by his head and a puppet with one of its weapons aimed right where no man wanted it to aimed at. The sand parted just enough to give the puppet a clearer target. Be careful what you say, you old drunk. We don't like people belittling us, Kankuro said coldly. You could feel the ki in the room and Team 7 couldn't breathe. Kakashi was only a little better with Hiruzen feeling the effects slightly. Temari had her fan out ready to perform a wind jutsu. Gaara was ready to crush the bridge builder. Kankuro was ready to poison the bridge builder or castrate him. Tenten had several kunai out ready to throw and Naruto looked the most relaxed out of them all. He knew the others had it well in hand. Okay team, let go of the drunk. We need him to get paid. Let's get our stuff packed. We'll meet you, Team 7, by the gate at 9 in the morning. Oh, and Kakashi, don't be late or I'll make you pay, Naruto said. Team Firestorm released the frightened Suna, then shined away with Gaara's being a swirl of sand, Temari's a mini tornado, Tenten's a swirling pillar of water, Kankuro's a swirl of blowing leaves, and Naruto in a mini hurricane. You heard the man. See you all bright and early at 9 at the gate, Kakashi said, then he himself shined away in a swirl of leaves. Scene break / At 9 in the morning the next day, Teams Firestorm and 7 headed out with Suna. Team Firestorm was spread out in front with Gaara in front along with Kankuro, Naruto and Temari were behind them. Team 7 was with the client and Kakashi and Tenten were at the back. Everything was going fine till Firestorm noticed a puddle of water. They knew hadn't rained in a while, so they were suspicious. Gaara signaled the others and they all signaled back that they received the message. The fresh genin were totally oblivious to all of this. As soon as Kakashi and Tenten passed, two figures with breathing masks emerged from the puddle. They charged towards Kakashi with a razor-sharp chain connected to both of their gauntlets. They never made it as Tenten spun around and hurled a barrage of kunai at them with lightning speed and deadly accuracy. The two shinobi got nicked up badly from the projectiles, then Gaara trapped them in sand with Kankuro and Temari rushing in to help subdue the would-be attackers. Naruto held back since the others had it handled. Team 7 was shocked seeing this since it went by so fast. Sasuke was pissed that he didn't do anything. Sakura was frightened as she had never been attacked before. Shino was emotionless as ever, though was impressed with what he had just seen. Kakashi was impressed, though he wished Firestorm would have let his team handle it. He wanted to see how good his team really was. Well, it looks like we've got the Demon Brothers here. Tazuna, you've got some explaining to do since these guys aren't simple bandits or highwaymen, Naruto said, recognizing the two missing nin from the bingo book. Tazuna then gave them all this sob story about how Wave was poor and thanks to this evil tyrant named Gato they had no hope really. This bridge would help them so much, but Gato was doing everything to stop it since it would cut into his stranglehold he had over the island. Team Firestorm already knew this from word they heard during missions and Jiraiya's spy network. Well, it seems we have a decision to make. My team can still and are willing to keep going. But you, Kakashi, have decided if you want yours, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded. This was above what they were ordered to do. He turned to his team and asked for their opinion. Sasuke's, of course, was to keeping going since if Naruto was going, then as an Uchiha he had to go forward. Sakura, never one to disagree with Sasuke, also agreed to keep going. Shino agreed to go, but only since there was a majority to go already. He himself didn't think they were ready yet, but knew he'd never get any peace if he voiced his true opinion. Right, we'll keep going, but be on your guard. Also, you will take orders from Naruto if I am incapacitated, Kakashi said. Shino agreed with this. Sasuke glared at Naruto and Sakura just frowned. She'd rather be led by Sasuke, of course. So they continued on, and after a boring boat ride they made it to Wave. They saw the bridge that was being built, and the genin of Team 7 were in awe of the impressive sight. They disembarked from the boat and headed to Tazuna's house. When they got close, something happened. Get down! Kakashi shouted. Team 7 followed the order, but Firestorm didn't as Gaara used his sand to stop the spinning sword and deflected away. The huge sword flew away from the group and landed in a tree away from them. I know that sword, Tenten said as she saw the huge cleaver-like blade. Whose is it then? Temari asked. Zabuza Momochi, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, Tenten said with excitement in her voice. Well, I see that I am known to even to we little genin, Zabuza said. He appeared on a branch of a tree that his sword was embedded in. He was bare-chested with bandages wrapped around his face. He had spiky brown hair and wore pinstriped pants. The great Zabuza Momochi. You're a lot shorter than I thought you would be, Naruto said in a very bored tone. The rest of Team Firestorm groaned at this while Team 7 looked at Naruto like he was crazy or something. You've got a smart mouth, brat, Zabuza said, glaring at Naruto, releasing a good amount of Ki too. Naruto shrugged it off like it was nothing. So Zabuza, I guess you're here to take out the drunk. Well, it ain't going to happen. Team Firestorm has never failed at a mission before and you won't be the first to do so, Naruto said firmly. Zabuza's eyes widened upon hearing who he was dealing with. He had heard much about Team Firestorm and knew this team was good, very good. They may be genin on paper, well, special genin, but Zabuza ignored the special part of it, thinking it was just some made-up title to make the teams sound better than they were. But the team's record spoke for itself. All 5 were in the bingo book with an approach with caution warning. He also noticed Sharingan Kakashi was there too. This mission he had just got a lot harder now. I see you know all about us, so why don't you make it easy and just give up, Kankuro said, smirking as he shrugged off his puppet from his back. Yes, and please tell your companion to come out too. We'd like to deal with everyone at once, Gaara said with his arms folded, looking bored. He had sensed the 2 chakra signatures as they were traveling and now knew one was Zabuza, but there was another with the missing Nin. Team 7 was shocked. They thought Zabuza was the only threat. Who and where was this second person? Sasuke was pissed how Firestorm was getting all the attention. He was an Uchiha, and that meant he should be the one to strike fear the heart of the enemy. Kakashi was amazed at seeing Firestorm in action. It was actually quite thrilling. Soon another figure appeared wearing a Kiri Hunter Nin mask and outfit. Nice disguise there, Temari commented. Well, now that we're all here, let's get started, shall we? Naruto asked. What's the plan, Naruto? Kakashi asked curiously. You take on Zabuza with Tenten backing you up. Your team will guard the client with Gaara. Temari and Kankuro will take on Zabuza's little helper. I'll stay back on standby if needed in either fight, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded, then he pulled his headband that was covering his left eye to reveal his Sharingan. Showing off the Sharingan so soon? I am honored, Zabuza said sarcastically. Soon the fighting began. Gaara and Team 7 took defensive position around the client. Sasuke was unhappy to being relegated to this job since he wanted action, not sitting on the sidelines. Temari and Kankuro took on the fake Hunter Nin, overwhelming the Nin with the barrage wind jutsus and puppets. Naruto stood back, letting his fiancé and future brother-in-law do most of the work and help if needed. Besides, he wanted to be the second to last stop before either the fake Hunter Nin or Zabuza made it through. Tenten stood back as she watched Kakashi take on Zabuza, knowing her role was support and not attacking. She'd hurl a kunai every once or a while when she saw an opening. The fake Hunter Nin couldn't perform any of their jutsus since they never got time to perform the necessary hand signs. Kankuro would keep attacking with his puppets while Temari kept firing wind jutsus that cut up the Hunter Nin badly. The Hunter Nin couldn't use any Senbon needles since Temari just blew them away every time. Finally, Kankuro hit the Hunter Nin with a poison-tipped blade. The Hunter Nin fell gasping in pain. Don't worry, the poison won't kill you. You'll just be in a hell of a lot of pain for a very long time, Kankuro said. Why do you use that poison and not one of your lethal ones? Temari asked as she put her fan away. Didn't feel like it. Besides, I don't like killing girls, Kankuro said. Girls, that's a girl? Temari asked, shocked as she pointed to the down fake Hunter Nin. Yup, she is, Kankuro said with a nod. Meanwhile, Zabuza had tricked Kakashi and trapped him in a sphere of water only for Tenten to let loose a barrage of kunai and shuriken at a startling rate. Zabuza had to let go of his jutsu trapping Kakashi just to save his hide. It was then that Naruto jumped into the fight since Temari and Kankuro had their fight well in hand. He took on Zabuza since Kakashi had almost exhausted himself using his Sharingan. Naruto went with taijutsu against the swordsman. Zabuza had to admit he was very impressed with Naruto as he dominated him. Zabuza was hurt from the kunai and shuriken Tenten threw whenever she had an opportunity, as well as Naruto's constant attacks. He knew he had to retreat. It didn't help that his partner was hurt, and couldn't help it either. So Zabuza used a water jutsu to distract Naruto and Tenten, then he grabbed his partner, and they shined away. They got away, just great, Kankuro grumbled. It will be a while till they can try again. Let's get to Tazuna's house, Naruto said, wiping the bit of sweat from his brow. Kakashi nodded, pulling his headband down, then slumped over due to chakra exhaustion. Gaara's sand caught the Jounin. Let's go, Naruto ordered. Sasuke was pissed that he had done nothing at all during the fight. He blamed Naruto for all of that since he didn't have a chance to awaken his Sharingan. Sakura was shocked seeing Team Firestorm fight. They weren't fighting to injury and capture, but to kill. She never thought she'd see that as a genin. Shino was emotionless, but took in everything and knew that this was only a small bit of what Firestorm was capable of. So with Gaara carrying Kakashi with his sand, they all followed Naruto with Tazuna in the lead to the bridge builder's house. Scene break / At Tazuna's house they met his daughter Tsunami as well as his grandson Inari. They all got settled in. They all had a nice dinner with Tazuna's family, then after that they sat down to talk about their next course of action. That all went well, Kankuro said sitting back. It did, though we didn't finish them off, they'll be out of our hair for a while, Naruto said. Zabuza might strike early though. He's still pretty healthy, Temari said. No, he'd want backup and he'll wait for that girl to be there with him, Gaara said. How do you know that? Sakura asked. Simple. He now knows who he's dealing with. He'll be more cautious than before, Tenten said. So what should we do? Shino asked. Well, you three could use some training. Kakashi, what have you taught them so far? Naruto asked. I've been working on team exercises since they are lacking in that department, Kakashi said. Team Firestorm looked at Kakashi with disbelief. How could a Jounin not teach their students anything in the few months they've had them? I see. Would you mind if we take over training them while you recoup? Naruto asked with a sigh. Not at all, Kakashi said, shaking his head. Right, you three thought we put you through hell in the academy. Well, that was nothing to what we're going to do to you now, Temari said, grinning sadistically. Sasuke glared at Temari. I am an Uchiha. I can handle anything, he said arrogantly. Yeah, Sasuke is the best. Sakura shouted. Our first step is to eliminate that howler monkey that resides in you, Kankuro said. Sakura was about to shout/screech at Kankuro when sand moved up and covered her mouth. I'd like to keep my hearing intact, thank you very much, Gaara said, sending a small bit of ki at the pink-haired howler monkey. Sakura trembled as she nodded. The sand disappeared from her mouth, and she rushed to hide behind Sasuke, who tried to shake her off. Scene break / The next day Team 7 was in the woods with Firestorm. Kakashi was there since he wanted to what kind of training his team would get, though he was using crutches to get around. He then noticed 2 members of the joint team missing. Where are the 2 other boys? The Jounin asked. They went to do some recon for us. We want to make sure there's no surprises waiting for us, Temari said. Kakashi nodded, agreeing with the plan of action. Alright, you three. First up is tree climbing, Tenten said. What? We already know how to climb trees, Sakura shouted. A kunai came flying out and landed really close to Sakura's feet. The pink-haired girl let out a shriek as she jumped back, landing on her butt. Let me finish. You will be climbing trees with just chakra, Tenten said, glaring at Sakura. Here's how it goes. You channel your chakra into the soles of your feet and walk up, Naruto said. He then did a ram's seal and then walked up the closest tree, going vertical, then hanging upside down on a tree limb. Sasuke glared at Naruto since Naruto knew something he didn't. That couldn't stand. Shino was emotionless as usual and Sakura was in awe. Right, use these kunai to mark your progress, Tenten said as she threw 2 more kunai close to the 2 boys' feet. The 3 grabbed the kunai and made their way to the trees. Sasuke, wanting to prove he was better than Naruto, ran up and then slammed right to the ground, not even getting 4 feet up. Got to channel your chakra to your feet first, Uchiha, Naruto said, now on the ground with his girls. Sasuke growled and got up to try again. He wasn't going to be beaten. Hey, I did it! Sakura shouted. The 3 members of Firestorm turned to find Sakura was on top of her tree. She was panting though from getting up there. Great job, now run up and down till I say you can stop, Temari said in a bored tone. What? Why? Sakura shouted. You have the smallest chakra reserves of the team. This is the best way to increase them. Now start moving, Tenten barked. Sakura grumbled since she thought she could watch Sasuke now that she had climbed her tree. Shino made it up after his 4th try. Good job, Abirame. You have very good control. Let's move you to water walking, Naruto said. Thank you, Naruto-sensei, Shino bowed. I am not really your sensei, so don't need to call me that, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. Oh, I don't know. I like the sound of it. What do you think, Temari? Naruto-sensei does have a certain ring to it, Tenten said with a tone in her voice. Temari smirked as she caught Tenten's drift. She loved messing with Naruto as much as Tenten did since he was still a boy and got nervous around girls even though he knew these 2 quite well. Yes, come on, Naruto-sensei, teach us, she said as she leaned into Naruto, pressing her body sensually against her fellow blondes. Naruto gulped while Kakashi couldn't help to let out a perverted giggle. This was almost as good as his Aika. Yes, Naruto-sensei, we need training, badly, Tenten said, teasing her fiancé by pressing body up against Naruto's body like Temari was doing on his other side. Let's go, Abirame. Let's find some water, Naruto said, then dashed off. Shino nodded and followed Naruto at a more sedate pace. Tenten and Temari laughed at the way Naruto acted. He may act older and mature most of the time, but he was still a 13-year-old boy and he still didn't know much about girls and their inner workings. Not like men had any more knowledge on the subject either. Alright, enough of that. Back to work. Temari shouted at both Sasuke and Sakura. Scene break / Meanwhile, Gaara and Kankuro were searching the islands for Gato's base. They wanted to know where it was and how well protected it was, then they could plan their attack on the base and kill Tyrant. As well if there were any other surprises Gato might have in store, such as recruiting any other missing Nins. They didn't find Zabuza's hideout, but found that the missing Nin was by himself and the fake hunter Nin. Well, that was a bust. Where to next? Kankuro asked as they left another site. Their Gaara said he pointed to their next destination. He had a map of the entirety of Wave with X's where they've looked. The two headed off with speed to their next destination. Scene break. That night everyone was having dinner with Gaara and Kankuro still not back from the recon. How do you think they're doing? Tenten asked with a little worry. They're fine, Naruto said calmly. Are you sure? Temari asked. Yeah, those two can handle themselves, Naruto said confidently. They're probably are dead, Sasuke grunted. A puppet appeared and a poison-tipped spear was aimed at Sasuke's neck while a blade was just touching the Uchiha's groin. The spear came from the puppet's mouth with the blade from one of the wrists of the puppet. You were saying Uchiha, Kankuro said. Hey, you two, anything? Naruto asked like Sasuke wasn't near death or castration. No, we've found nothing yet, but we've still got more places to look, Gaara said. Naruto nodded. Hey, let go of Sasuke, Sakura shouted. Damn, you haven't got her to stop screaming everything yet, Kankuro said. Not yet, but we're going to get to that tomorrow, Tenten said idly, tossing a kunai in the air. Let him go, Kankuro, Naruto said finally. Kankuro flexed his fingers and the puppet released Sasuke. He then sealed his puppet away. Sasuke glared at Kankuro. Happy? Naruto asked Sakura. Kakashi sighed. This mission was only going to get worse. Scene break. The next day Sasuke was still on tree walking with Shino and Sakura working on water walking. Come on, Haruno, keep it up, Naruto shouted from the shore. Sakura was soaked. She had fallen into the water a few times as Naruto picked up the pace of her walking on the water. Shino was doing a whole lot better since yesterday. He was still going slow, but he was getting better. Meanwhile Temari was with the Uchiha making sure he did his work with Kakashi there with her. Tenten was guarding the bridge builder while Gaara and Kankuro were back trying to find Gato's base. Okay, let's take a break, Naruto called. Shino walked back to shore and as did Sakura till she lost control and had to swim back the rest of the way. They made their way back and found an exhausted Sasuke lying at the base of the tree that was heavily scarred, but no heavy progress made at all. So how has the emo been? Naruto asked, kissing Temari on the cheek in greeting. He's okay. Still hasn't made it up the tree yet, Temari said. Naruto nodded. Sasuke just glared at Naruto then the tree. He was an Uchiha. This was a stupid exercise and it shouldn't be anything to him. He was the elite of the elite. Why did he have to do this dumb exercise anyway? He had to get stronger to kill Itachi and show he was the better Uchiha. But no, he was made to do this useless exercise. You're not going to get up that tree by glaring it down, Uchiha, Naruto said. Sasuke glared at Naruto. I am an Uchiha. Why should I even do this? He asked angrily. Yeah, Sasuke is so much better than this, Sakura shouted. Because with learning these chakra-controlling exercises you can use less chakra in your jutsus, and the less chakra you use them more you can do. Every shinobi has learned this exercise, even Itachi. He like the rest know that this will help in the long run. Sure, it's annoying and difficult, but it pays off big time in the future, Naruto said. Sasuke just glared. Right, that was a good break. Time to get back to work, Naruto said, clapping his hands. Sakura groaned. She was still sore and tired. Come on, Pinky, get moving, Naruto commanded. Sakura glared at Naruto. I have a name, she shrieked. I know, I just don't care, Naruto said. Scene break. A few days later Gaara and Kankuro came back with good news. We've found Gato's hideout, and we've got a basic layout of it, Gaara said as he used his sand to create the blueprint. Kankuro used a stick and pointed to the possible places that they could get in. Where guards were stationed, how many there were and whatnot. This mission requires stealth above all else. Tenten, you're up since you're our best assassin in the group, Naruto said after getting all the info and thinking about it. Tenten nodded. It was true, Tenten was the best for assassin missions on the team. She was quiet and swift. She could get into areas where the others couldn't. That and Tenten had so many weapons at her disposal to use and had learned to add poison to her weapons to make them deadlier. You'd think her outfit would make her stand out, but she was so quick that all anyone saw was a pink blur. Plus she rarely left anyone who saw her alive. Her, why her, she's just a girl, Sasuke said. What was that? Tenten growled as she pulled several kunai. Tenten dear, no killing the Uchiha. Save your strength and anger for Gato, Naruto said. Tenten pouted, but nodded as she put her kunai away, for now. Is that alright with you, Kakashi? Naruto asked. Yeah, it eliminates another target, but what about Zabuza and his partner? Kakashi asked, not doubting Tenten's skill at all. Well, you can handle Zabuza just fine. I think Temari and I will take on Zabuza's partner with your team guarding Tazuna while Gaara and Kankuro stay here just in case, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded. He liked this plan. It took care of everything, plus they left a few behind just in case Gato decided to try something. How come I have to be on guard? Sasuke asked. Because you're still rookie genin and you wouldn't stand a chance against Zabuza's partner. She's at least a Chunin if not higher, Temari said. Sasuke sulked about not doing anything and Sakura was relieved since she was still tired from all the training she had been put through. Shino said nothing since he trusted Firestorm's plan. Scene break. Tenten left early to take out Gato while the rest got the plan in action. Gaara and Kankuro stayed back so they could protect Tsunami and her son. The rest headed to the bridge for the fight. They arrived and found the bridge workers all down. Temari checked one of them. They aren't dead, she said. That was relief. Soon a mist appeared and out walked Zabuza and his partner. Well, you've healed nicely, Zabuza, Naruto said. I'll get you for that brat, Zabuza growled. Whatever, you're not my opponent this time, Naruto said. We'll see about that, Zabuza said as he raced forward with his Zanbato in hand. His strike never hit since Kakashi got in front and blocked it with a kunai. You'll be fighting me, Zabuza, Kakashi said with his Sharingan ablaze. Zabuza cursed and leapt away with Kakashi following him. Right, time to take out the fake Hunter Nin, Naruto said. Sasuke jumped forward with kunai in hand at the fake Hunter Nin. That idiot is going to get himself killed, Naruto muttered. Sasuke's kunai never struck home as the fake Hunter Nin blocked it with Saban needles. What should we do, Naruto? Temari asked. Not sure at the moment. Damn it, that Uchiha is messing everything up, Naruto said. Hey, Sasuke can beat that girl, no sweat. Sakura shouted as she cheered her Sasuke on. Scene break /. Meanwhile, Tenten had snuck into Gado's headquarters. It was easy after studying Gaara's sand map and with Kankuro giving her all the easy ways in. She then made her way through and found her target. That stupid Zabuza. I can't wait to see the look on his face when I double-cross him. It's going to be priceless when I tell him that I am not going to pay him. But kill him, that bastard that busted my arm, Gado crowed. Tenten got in position and waited for Gado to be alone. Gado sat back in his huge wingback chair, leaning back as he wore a smug, arrogant smirk on his face. He was so pleased with himself for outsmarting Zabuza that he didn't even notice Tenten slip in. She was under a special jutsu that made you invisible that she learned from a certain super pervert as she pulled out a kunai and slit the throats of Gado's two guards, making sure she lowered their dead weight so they didn't make a sound. Once done, she stealthily glided across the floor, making her way to where Gado was sitting. The weapons mistress got behind Gado. She pulled out her katana and in one fluid movement sliced right through the chair and Gado's neck. The head as well as the chair remained intact. The only thing that was different was the blood oozing from the neck from the clean slice Tenten had made in Gado's neck. After she was done cleaning and sheathing her katana, Tenten rummaged through Gado's desk and found some very interesting things. Scene break /. Back on the bridge, Kakashi was fighting Zabuza while Sasuke was trapped in a dome of ice mirrors, becoming a pincushion. The Hunter Nin dumped water all over the battlefield thanks to some storage scrolls, then with some hand signs created her ice mirrors. Temari and Naruto were standing there with Temari resting her weight on her battle fan and Naruto watching Sasuke's futile effort with a bit of amusement. They were waiting for their moment and Sakura was getting annoyed that they weren't doing anything to help her precious Sasuke. Shino just stood there sticking to Firestorm's plan and guarding the bridge builder. Why aren't you doing anything? The pink-haired girl asked. We're just waiting for the right time, Temari said, leaning on her battle fan looking bored. But Sasuke, Sakura whined. Tenten appeared from out of nowhere, it seemed. Hey, she greeted. Sakura screamed and fell on her butt. Naruto and Temari turned and smiled at the weapons mistress. Naruto kissed Tenten on the cheek to greet her, while Temari just smiled at her in greeting. So? He asked. Mission was a success, Tenten said brightly. Excellent, Naruto said. What's going on here? Tenten asked, gesturing to the dome of mirrors in front of her. The plan went screwy with Super Emo charging in. We haven't had a chance to take out the fake Hunter Nin since we don't want to hurt the emo, Temari said. Tenten just stared at Temari. Fine, I want to hurt the emo, but it would be kind of counterproductive if we did that, Temari said, pouting. Temari, time's come, Naruto said. Temari nodded and placed her battle fan on her back and pulled her two smaller fans she had in holsters on her belt. She pulled them out and opened them up. She channeled some wind chakra and blew away several needles that were flying at Sasuke. How come you didn't do that before? Sakura asked. Didn't feel like. Besides, the emo needed a lesson about obeying orders. We're the superior officers. As special genin, we're of higher rank than the usual genin, Naruto said. He then used a substitution jutsu and switched himself with the pincushion Sasuke. Sakura cradled the boy's body as soon as he appeared and started fussing over him. I pity him, Tenten said. Yeah, she's shrieking right into his ear, Temari said. Back in the mirror dome, Naruto was dodging barrages of needles, but what helped him was Temari was using her mini fans to blow away several needles that were aimed at Naruto. No way in hell will this fake hurt her, Naruto. Naruto grinned as he had to somewhat thank the emo for tiring out the fake Hunter Nin. He knew this jutsu was a powerful one, thus it'd take a heck of a lot of chakra to maintain it. The fake Hunter Nin knew this and knew she couldn't hold on much longer, and took her mirrors down. That proved to be a mistake as Temari waited for this, and as soon as the mirrors were gone she put her small fans back and pulled out her big one, and kicked up a huge gale force wind that turned into a cyclone. This caused the fake Hunter Nin get caught up in the vortex of swirling winds and getting nicked by the cutting winds. By the time Temari cancelled her attack, the fake Hunter Nin had several cuts all over her body, but none were severe at all. When she landed, she was trying to control her breathing since the pain of the cuts stung like hell. Naruto walked over and pressed a pressure point, knocking the fake Hunter Nin out. He then carried her over his shoulder back to the group. Mission accomplished. How goes Kakashi's battle? Naruto asked, dropping the Hunter Nin on the ground. He's just finishing up, Tenten said as she tied up the fake Hunter Nin as well, heal all the cuts. The sounds of birds chirping was heard and they knew that was the end of the fight. Kakashi then came walking back with a bloody hand. He saw that fake Hunter Nin was still alive, but didn't question Naruto's decision at all. He did see Sasuke was hurt, but alive, and that was fine by him. We done? He asked. Yup. Congratulations, Suna. You can finish the bridge in peace, Naruto said. Tazuna was speechless at what had just witnessed. Scene break. After the battle on the bridge, things calmed down. Sasuke was bedridden to recover from his pincushion experience. He was angry of what he heard happened after he was taken out. Of how Naruto and Temari was able to defeat the fake Hunter Nin when he couldn't. He had to get that power. Also the fact that he had not awakened his Sharingan at all during the fight made him even angrier. Sakura hovered by his bedside fussing all over him, which only increased his ire even more. Tenten presented Tazuna with the account numbers of all Gato's bank accounts. She told them it was a jumpstart to get Wave back on its feet. Tazuna was in tears as he held the scroll like it was a holy artifact. It didn't take long after that, with Wave now being free, that the bridge was now complete. There were celebrations of the demise of Gato, with Firestorm being in the center of it. Tazuna let it be known to everyone who brought the end of Gato. Team Firestorm was uncomfortable with all the attention they were getting since they were just doing a job. This wasn't the first time they saved a village, but they still weren't used to the attention. This of course made Sasuke angry too, since in his delusion mind he was supposed to be worshipped and everything. Not Team Firestorm. They found out the Hunter Nin's name was Haku, and she was most likely the last of her bloodline thanks to the Kiri bloodline purge going on. Gaara stopped Haku from committing suicide for failing her master Zabuza and no longer having a use anymore. Gaara and Haku spent a lot of time together, and it was decided she would come back to Konoha with them. Also they found that Gato had sent men after Tsunami to hold her hostage. Gaara and Kankuro easily dispatched the two that came for Tsunami, since they were in no way prepared to take on well-trained shinobi. There were after that a few skirmish with some of Gato's men that tried to take over for their master's spot, but Firestorm took them down and then eliminated a lot of the mercenaries that were still around. They deemed that this would help in the rebuilding of Wave. To hack off the disease parts to let new life grow, well, that's what Gaara said. Soon it was time to leave Wave and they got a big send-off at the end of the bridge. They said their goodbyes then headed back to Konoha. Haku walked close right by Gaara the whole trip, which amused the rest of Firestorm. Scene break. Once back in Konoha they gave their reports, and then got a week off. Hiruzen listened to it all and gave Haku a position in the ranks since she wasn't ever a registered kunoichi and was made a Chunin. He did this after hearing Firestorm's report on her skills, and he deemed she was strong enough for the Chunin position. Since her becoming a genin wouldn't match her skills she had, Haku decided to stay with Gaara and the rest of Firestorm since she didn't have any place to go. Firestorm agreed with Tenten and Temari, the more vocal of the team. They liked the girl a lot. Firestorm knew what to do with their week off since after Team 7 left Hiruzen had them stay, and he gave Naruto the keys to his parents' home. He thought it was time since he deemed Naruto old enough and strong enough. So Team Firestorm and Haku went to find their new home. This can't be it, Tenten said in shock and awe. Temari was the same as she stared at the compound. It was huge. It was spread across several acres that was wooded in the back. It was not only big, but also quite nicely maintained for a place that hadn't been inhabited for years. Though you had to thank preservation seals for that. Naruto couldn't wait to check those out. Plus, Hiruzen had planned on this and had a few genin teams clean the compound for Firestorm's moving in. Kankuro whistled. Damn, I am so going to love living here, he said. Gaara was amazed by the home, but said nothing. Haku just stared in awe since she had never seen anything like it. Come on, we're not going to get anything done just standing and staring all day, Naruto said, being the first to shake out of his stupor. It took some time, but they explored the house and called dibs on rooms. There were so many that it was kind of hard to pick. The team wasn't sure what they'd do with all the extra rooms, but they'd decide on that later. Naruto claimed the master bedroom with both Tenten and Temari, stating that they'd be sleeping there too. Naruto was bright red at this. Kankuro and Gaara ignored this since they knew this was coming, though Tenten and Temari picked out their very own rooms since they knew they would need their own space. They just made sure their rooms were as close to Naruto's as possible. Kankuro picked a room and claimed the room next to it as his workroom for his puppets. Now he had a nice room to work and he wouldn't get the living room messy from all of his working and getting the wrath of both Temari and Tenten for dirtying up the living room once again with his little dolls. Gaara chose a room that was close to the garden since he deemed it as peaceful. Haku's room was right next to Gaara's. There wasn't a worry about bathrooms either since their new home had plenty of those too. They had more than enough to claim one on their own and still have a few left. After that they had to pack up all the stuff they had in their old home and move it. Naruto helped by providing many kagebushin. Gaara helped in this effort. So what would have taken a huge amount of time was cut dramatically in half. Scene break. The week Firestorm had off was made setting up their new home and getting used to such a large space. Plus to get to know Haku even more. Even the Sand siblings who were used to living in the Kazekage manor was in awe of the splendor that was the Namikaze compound. Each of them set up their rooms the way they liked it. Gaara's room had a bed, several bookcases since Gaara loved to read, and that meant he had a lot of books and many bookcases. He had a dresser and on top of that was pictures of the team, and then individual ones alongside them. Kankuro's room was a mess with spare puppet parts, work plans for new puppets and clothes dirty and clean everywhere. Though he did have a workshop right next door, his bedroom was still a mess since he always brought his work to his room. Going between his workshop and his bedroom was made easier to access since Naruto had a joined door connecting Kankuro's room to his workshop at it. Haku's room was nicely decorated with subtle female tones. She didn't have many girly things at all, and considering she had always been on the move with Zabuza, she didn't have many possessions to begin with. This was rectified when Tenten and Temari took Haku shopping. Tenten's room had weapons all over her room, hanging on walls. Now these weren't for just decoration, no, they all could be used. Tenten's reasoning was, what's the point of having a pointy metal things hanging on the wall when you can't use them? She didn't have much in the way of girly things in her room. The most girly thing was a plushie, and that was of a plushie kunai Naruto had bought her. Temari's room wasn't really decorated at all. She had a small box garden with desert lilies and roses in them. Naruto had gotten seeds for them as a birthday present for her. She had her mother's old battle fan hanging on the wall. Naruto had bought her own battle fan, which she uses. Naruto's room had a combination of Tenten and Temari's handiwork. Naruto really didn't care about how the room looked as long as it didn't look too girly. Which wasn't a problem when you had two strong and independent kunoichi as girlfriends. There were light feminine touches, but nothing overt. Naruto was curious to all the seals his father had placed around the place, and made a huge effort to study and understand each one. Thankfully his father left him scrolls on the protections he put on and around the home. This also gave Naruto incentive to improve on his father's designs to make them stronger and better. He worked on these in his study, which he had claimed right after claiming the master bedroom. Naruto was very nervous sleeping with Tenten and Temari since it would be the first time ever they all slept together in one bed. They never had done this before. So on the first night Naruto was stiff as a board in bed between the two girls. He was so afraid of touching something he wasn't supposed to. The girls found it amusing, but knew Naruto would never get to sleep, so they did what they could to relax him. It got better after the first night, but Naruto was still a bit tense even after a week. During the day the six would relax and have fun. Kankuro would be in his new workshop having a ball creating new puppets and not worrying about Temari and Tenten scolding and glaring at him for making a mess in the living room where he used to work on his puppets. Tenten and Temari were enjoying the expansive backyard to train and relax. They would also spend girl time with Haku, who was very new to this concept, but was having fun with Temari and Tenten. While Naruto and Gaara would play shogi inside, or when not doing that Gaara would be meditating in the garden and Naruto in the library reading up on the seals around the compound. Haku got a post in the hospital and worked there. It took her some time to get used to her new surroundings, but Gaara and Firestorm helped her a lot. She was happy with how her life was going right now and felt very close to Gaara. /scene break/ Hiruzen and Kenshii were having a serious discussion. The Kazekage came over to see how the kids were doing and check out their new home. He was very impressed by it and loved how the five were getting along. He also saw the attraction Haku had for Gaara and chuckled at how clueless Gaara was of it. But now he and Hiruzen were in the Hokage office talking about some more future plans they had for the five. Well, Hiruzen, I believe it's time for a promotion for the five, Kenshii said. I believe you're right, but the Chunin exams are coming up and they could enter and become Chunin that way, Hiruzen said. I don't believe that would be wise. Firestorm is more experienced and would have the advantage over all the other teams, Kenshii said. Hiruzen nodded. He could see Kenshii's thinking and how Firestorm would have the great advantage over the other genin teams that would be participating. It would be very unfair to the other villages to do such a thing, though other villages would be sending their best genin. Firestorm was just too good to be even placed in the category of the genin that would be entering the Chunin exams. Even the teams that other villages would send were ringers. Then how about we make them Chunin now? We're both here and we can promote them before you go, Hiruzen suggested. I like it, Kenshii said. The two shook hands, sealing the deal. Both Kages knew that they had the power to promote any of their shinobi anytime they feel like they've reached a certain point to be moved up to the next level. Just the Chunin and Jounin exams were made for those who needed to show they've grown enough to be a capable Chunin or Jounin. Plus it was a way of showing off to the other villages their strongest up and coming shinobi. Also it was a way for the hosting village to make money from everyone coming to see the exams. It was a great tourist booster. The ceremony for Firestorm being promoted to Chunin had little fanfare, but that was alright with them. They had both Kages as well as several Jounin present, as well as Haku when they got their flak jackets, which were green with brown accents to show that they were Chunin not only of Konoha, but Suna as well. Congratulations, you are now Chunin, Hiruzen said, smiling proudly at the five. Kenshii looked on too, smiling also. He was so proud of his children, which he included Tenten and Naruto as his children. Firestorm bowed to both Kages. Haku hugged Gaara, who was shocked at the interaction. Kenshii smirked upon seeing this, and glad his son seemed to have someone even though his son was still clueless about it all. Kankuro chuckled at his brother's predicament, while Tenten and Temari were planning. Naruto shook his head and wondered when Gaara would come to him for help. /scene break/. Once the week was up, Firestorm were back on duty and doing missions while Haku was busy working in the hospital. They had some interaction with the other genin teams, but nothing major since their team up with Team 7. They mainly saw them around in the village. But as Chunin now, that meant they were quite busy, busier than they were before. They took on more missions and assisted in other things. They heard rumors of the Chunin exams and were very curious about them. They wanted to see these genin, and see if they had what it took to be Chunin. As well as they wondered how many Konoha genin will be entered since Konoha was hosting this time. Hello there Firestorm, long time eh? The 5 members turned and saw it was Team 7. Hello Kakashi, how are you and your team? Naruto asked. Been doing well, congratulations on your promotion, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Thanks, Kankuro said. The members of Team 7 saw the Chunin flak jackets on Firestorm and a certain emo became enraged. How could they promote you and not me? I am an Uchiha. I am the elite, the emo brooded. Yes, Sasuke should be a Chunin, not you, Sakura shrieked. Simple, they have a no emo policy, Gaara said in a deadpan tone. Tenten and Temari giggled at this while Kankuro laughed his ass off. Naruto chuckled and shook his head. Gaara rarely jokes, but when he does he's found to have a good sense of humor. Sasuke is 10 times better than you, Sakura screeched. Damn, thought we rid that annoyance and wave, Kankuro muttered as he rubbed his ears. Guess we need to do remedial training, Temari said as she pulled out her battle fan. Tenten nodded as she began pulling out kunai and shuriken. Sakura squeaked and hid behind Sasuke, who tried to shrug her off. Now I don't think hurting my student will teach her anything, Kakashi said, though he would pay good money for Tenten and Temari to train Sakura from shrieking. You never know, Kakashi, it could help, Tenten said as she placed the kunai and shuriken back in her weapons pouch. As Temari placed her fan back where it belonged. So where are you going? Naruto asked, changing the subject. We just finished AD rank and on our way to report. How about you? Kakashi asked. Finished with a simple C rank and taking a nice break, Naruto said. Sasuke brooded and muttered to himself how he was being held back and not getting better missions to get more powerful and stronger to beat his brother, Shino, who had remained silent through this all, just observed. It was better not to say a thing and get screeched at. Well, you'd better report. See you all later, Naruto said. The 2 teams parted ways with Sasuke glaring at Naruto. Scene break. It was the start of the Chunin exams and things seemed to be moving smoothly. Firestorm's mission was to keep an eye on things. With so many people coming and going to the village, that meant security was a big issue. Man, this is boring, Kankuro whined. I'll have to agree with you on that, Temari said with a sigh. They really did nothing but security checks, which were quite a pain. But they knew this was a very serious mission and they had to be sharp. It could be so easy to sneak into the village during this time with people from all over coming and going. Team Firestorm? The 5 turned to see an Umbu. Yes, Umbu? Naruto asked. The Hokage wishes to see you, the Umbu said, then shunshined away. Well, let's see what the old man wants, Naruto said. Gaara was the first to follow Naruto by the other 3. They soon made it to the Hokage Tower and to the Hokage office. Ah, Firestorm, come in, Hiruzen said with a smile. What can we do for you, Lord Hokage? Gaara asked. A mission. I want you 5 to be part of the group of Chunin to watch over the first part of the exams. You'll report to Ibiki Marino for instructions, Hiruzen said. The 5 nodded, then left, heading to Umbu headquarters, then to the T&I department. When they got there, they were shown to Ibiki's office. Ah, Team Firestorm, I've heard a lot about you. The head of the T&I department said in greeting. We've heard much about you as well, Gaara said. I see. Well, let's get down to business, Ibiki said. The 5 nodded, awaited instruction. The first part of the test is to see how well these genin can gather information during a stressful situation. What is going to happen is there will be a test of 10 questions, but there will only be 9 of them written. I will also place many restriction on them in the form of rules to prevent cheating, and see how they can get around that by using just what they have on themselves. The rules will tie them to their teams, so if one fails they all fail, which is how it is in the real world. I'll give the genin an hour to work, then after the hour I will give them the final question. What you are to look for is this, genin that can gather info discreetly without giving anything away, Ibiki said. So you're going to put pressure on these genin with the test? Naruto asked. Yes, but the questions on the test will be far above their level, hence they'll need to find a way to cheat and not be caught. This will simulate them being in unknown lands and trying to gather info without arousing suspicion, Ibiki said. There'll be Chunin disguised taking the test. They'll be the genin's targets, so we're to look for those who can cheat without being caught. What about those who are obvious? Tenten asked. Ibiki grinned in a sinister way. Scene break. Firestorm sat with the other Chunin and Jounin stationed around the room watching the genin. They made notes on who was doing what and everything. It was a good test for them in their observation skills. They sighed and shook their heads at the teams that were eliminated being caught cheating. They just didn't have what it took to be Chunin so early in their shinobi careers. They were also surprised at how many rookie teams from Konoha there were in the exam. They had heard about it, but seeing was totally different. In the end they shook their heads. Most of the rookies were clan heirs, which meant they had to be on display to show Konoha's might. Once the hour was up and Ibiki began with his mind games, Firestorm just sat back and watched the master work. They took notes on how he did it. It was amazing how many cracked. When there was no more that left, Ibiki shocked them all by passing them, and Firestorm had to hold back their laughter at the expressions of complete shock on the genin's faces. Once the test was explained, there was a crash, and a black ball barreled through, and Firestorm sighed when they saw who it was. No one but Anko would ever make such an entrance. After Anko led the genin out, Firestorm left wondering what the next part of the test was and why it would be held in the Forest of Death. The five knew of the place since it was well known to all Konoha shinobi as the scariest place ever. Scene break. Well, that was interesting, Kankuro said, stretching. I agree, there were a few teams that might become Chunin, Gaara said. Yeah, but I think it was a bad idea for those rookies to be put through the test. This can get them killed, Temari said. Tenten nodded in agreement. They haven't been out of the academy long enough to be used to the stress of being a ninja. This was too much for them, she said. If they are, then it's their sensei's fault for not training them enough and being stupid enough to think they can compete at this level with just several months out of the academy, Naruto said. Firestorm was relaxing as they waited for the second part of the exam was over, which took 5 days. Haku was with them enjoying a day off from the hospital. She was sitting by Gaara, and if she were any closer she'd be lying against him. Gaara didn't seem to notice this at all. That's a bit cold, don't you think, Naruto? Tenten asked. It is. But remember, we're shinobi and in our line of work we don't have a lot of time to be emotional, Gaara said. Yeah, but we're still human, which means ridding ourselves of all emotions would make us lifeless, Temari argued. I am not saying that we should be mindless killing machines. We just need to keep our emotions in check when on a mission or in a fight. Emotions are a double-edged sword, Gaara said. That's deep, Gaara, Tenten said. I read a lot of psychology books, Gaara said with a shrug. An Umbu appeared. Team Firestorm, you are to report to the Hokage's office in the tower in the middle of the Forest of Death, the Umbu said. Well, breaks over, Naruto said, standing up. The other 4 followed and they all shined away. Haku got up and left since there was nothing to do now. Scene break. When they got to the tower they found out why they were called. Naruto, it appears my old student Orochimaru has come back and has marked Sasuke Uchiha with one of his curse marks. I need you to contain it, Hiruzen said in a tired voice. Okay, where is he? Naruto asked. He was then led with Tenten by his side since she knew about seals almost as much as him. They got to the infirmary where Sasuke was lying. Kakashi was there standing guard. Yo, Naruto greeted. Kakashi nodded to Naruto and Tenten. The two nodded back, then moved in and examined the mark. Looks more advanced than the one ankle has, Tenten said. It is. But we can use hers as a base since it's bound to be the same in some parts, Naruto said. Tenten nodded. Kakashi just stood back watching the two work and hoped they could do something. Naruto and Tenten chatted for several minutes, then looked up confidently. I think we got something. Tenten, get the sealing supplies, Naruto said. Tenten nodded and then pulled out a scroll and put some chakra into it to reveal what they needed. Let's get to work, Naruto said. The two began working on a seal to contain the cursed seal on Sasuke's neck. Kakashi said nothing, not wanting to disturb the process at all. He watched as they paused every once and while to talk about something that was way above his head to even understand. Okay, here we go, Naruto said. He then placed his hand over the newly drawn seal and began pouring chakra into it to seal it. Sasuke shuddered a bit, but made no noise at all. When it was over, Tenten looked over the work and nodded. He should be fine now, she said. Kakashi nodded and the two left. Scene break. They arrived back at the Hokage's temporary office in the Forest of Death. All done, Naruto said. Good, Hiruzen said with much relief in his voice. Yeah, we weren't able to get rid of it since we weren't sure what kind of failsafes there might be. So we used a special seal to contain it, and we added several failsafes to our seal just in case someone tries to tamper with it in any way, Tenten said. This seal runs on small amounts of the Uchiha's own chakra, so it should keep him safe, Naruto said. You should still be careful even though we contained the seal. We still don't know enough about it to be confident that the seal won't affect the Uchiha in any way, Tenten said. Hiruzen nodded and would pass that information on to Kakashi as well to Mikoto and Itachi so they could keep an eye on Sasuke and his behavior. He was so glad that Naruto and Tenten were so skilled in Fuinjutsu since with his old student, Jiraiya off manning his spy network and writing his books, that meant they didn't have a seal master in Konoha regularly. Good. The second part of the exam is almost over. How about you stick around and watch, he suggested. Naruto looked at his team for their responses. Sure, sounds like fun, Kankuro said. It would be interesting to see who made it, Gaara said. Nothing better to do really, Temari said. Sure, Tenten said. Naruto nodded and turned back to Hiruzen. We're in, he said. Scene break. Team Firestorm stood with several jounin as they saw the genin that made it through the forest. They were surprised to see all the rookie teams there. They didn't think they'd have made this far. They then heard that there were too many applicants, and they needed to whittle down since there'd be many people coming to see the finals and it would be boring to have so many battles. So a prelims was going to be held right away. It irked them that these genin were going to be used as showpieces in the finals. They were shinobi, not trained circus dogs for the masses to enjoy. But they said nothing since it wasn't their place to say. They first watched as Sasuke fought against another Konoha shinobi. Huh, what do you know? They have gotten better, Kankuro said. It seems so, Gaara said. They were watching each round with mild interest. They were disgusted at the display that Sakura and Ino put on. Tenten and Temari were growling since these two girls were giving Kunoichis a bad name. They watched as the two Hyugas squared off and the male Hyuga belittled Hinata, shattering her already fragile confidence. That bastard. I'm going ram a rusty kunai up his ass, Tenten growled. Yeah, he has no right to be so cruel to Hinata, Temari said, glaring at Niji Hyuga. I highly doubt that stuck-up brat has any more room up his, but since it seems he has a pretty big fate-shaped pole already up it, Kankuro said. Naruto snickered at this. Gaara watched this, but he didn't like how the match was going. He hated how it seemed that these two family members were fighting and one was trying to kill the other. One thing he learned from Naruto was that family was precious, and you should protect it. Something that this Neji wasn't doing. As Neji went in for the kill, Tenten and Temari dashed in quicker than any Jounin or Anbu, with Naruto, Gaara and Kankuro following about a nanosecond behind. Tenten had her katana out in a reverse grip, the blade right at Neji's neck. Temari had pulled the kunai out, and it was aimed at his groin. Naruto, Gaara and Kankuro were there to make sure the two girls don't make good on their threats. The Jounin there were shocked at seeing how quickly Firestorm reacted. Move a step closer to her, and you can say goodbye to your life, Tenten growled. Temari said nothing, but pushed the edge of her kunai closer to Neji's family jewels. It looks even other shinobi are under the command of the main house, Neji sneered. We're under no command except the Hokage and Kazekage. We stopped you from harming a friend, Temari said as she pushed the blade of the kunai harder into Neji's groin. That's enough. The match is over. Team Firestorm released Neji. Hiruzen said. Yes, Lord Hokage, Tenten and Temari said. They removed their weapons and gave Neji one last murderous look before looking to Hinata, who was being cared for by Haku. How is she? Temari asked. She's hurt badly. Looks like severe organ damage, but I think she'll make it, Haku said. Tenten and Temari vowed some kind of vengeance against Neji. The rest of the matches were interesting, though the last one was creepy given the Konoha nin that was in the last match was wearing green spandex like his sensei, and was shouting about flames of youth. None of Firestorm knew what this youth thing was, but hoped it wasn't contagious. Once that match was over, the remaining shinobi selected numbers to see whom they'd be up against in the finals. Once that was done, Firestorm left since they had a month before the finals would be had. /scene break/. So what do you think their chances are? Kankuro asked. It was later that night and Firestorm along with Haku were lounging in the living room after a nice dinner that Haku had made. It turned out Haku was a very good cook and she didn't mind making the meals for them all. That helped since Tenten was the one who usually did the cooking. Temari was an alright cook, but Kankuro could burn water and Gaara just didn't cook at all. Naruto had minimal cooking skills. The Nara probably has the most likely chance of becoming Chunin, Naruto said. That lazy bum? He's too damn lazy. I thought he was going to forfeit when he had a chance in the prelims, Temari said. He does look very unmotivated, Tenten agreed. Yeah, but remember that the Nara clan, though not known for their battle prowess, are known for their great tactics and strategy. That's why Shikaka Nara is the head tactician for the Konoha shinobi forces, Naruto said. Yeah, and this Nara is said to be the smartest of the whole clan, Kankuro added in. I guess, Temari said. She still thought that the Nara was a lazy ass and would love to kick that laziness out of him one of these days. What about the Inuzuka? Haku asked. He's okay, but too brash and jumps into action too fast without thinking to be a Chunin now. He needs to learn to calm down, Gaara said. The others agreed. What about the weirdo in green spandex? Kankuro asked. He has very amazing taijutsu, but that's it. To be a Chunin you need to have more skills than that. He's going to have a hard time in the finals, Gaara said, though he could just scare his opponent with his shouting and acting all weird like Naruto said with a chuckle. That's just plain scary, Naruto. Did you see his sensei? They looked alike and that's even creepier, Tenten said. Yeah, one was bad, but two of them is unnatural, Temari said. Hey Tenten, imagine that you could have been on his team if you'd went through the academy like everyone else, Kankuro said. Tenten shivered. Now that's a thought I don't want to think about. I don't know how I'd keep my sanity being paired up with those two, she said. Well, that didn't happen at all, Naruto said as he wrapped an arm around Tenten's shoulders. Tenten smiled. But makes you think though. What team would Naruto be on if he didn't come to Suna? Temari asked. Knowing my luck I'd be stuck with the emo and the banshee, Naruto said with a snort. And the chronically late one-eyed Jounin, Tenten added in. Oh my god, that sounds like some kind of stupid kids show, Kankuro said. They all had a laugh at this. And the Uchiha? Haku asked. No way. He's got enough of an ego and besides he'd be too dangerous to be even given a higher rank at the moment, Naruto said. I agree. The Uchiha doesn't have what it takes to be Chunin. Besides I'd be afraid he'd stab me in the back on a mission, Tenten said. It's not up to us to decide who'll make Chunin, but I feel only the Nara has the makings as of right now, Gaara said. So what are we going to do for a month? Kankuro asked. Well, Tenten and I have plans, Temari said. Tenten nodded with a scary grin. You're still going to go through with that? Naruto asked. Of course, Naruto. That damn Neji will get what's coming to him for hurting Hinata like that. I don't give a damn that he's her cousin. No one should hurt their family like that, Tenten said firmly. Okay. Just don't get caught, kill him, or leave him physically unable to continue as a shinobi. He may be a total ass and all, but he's still a fellow shinobi and he needs to compete in the finals, Naruto said. The two girls nodded as they began planning. The three boys shivered as they heard snippets of the girls talking. What was even scarier was that Haku decided to join in with Tenten and Temari. /scene break/. In the Hyuga compound, Neji felt a cold shiver down his spine. I fear my fate has changed for the worse, he said to himself. Neji Hyuga was training for the next round of the exam. He was trying to perfect one of the main family's jutsu. So far he wasn't having much luck, but he kept going, unable to sense he was being watched. Phase 1 is ready, Tenten said. Gotcha, time to kidnap the Hyuga, Temari said. With quickness and stealth they nabbed Neji, knocking him out, and then dragging him away. Scene break. Niji awoke, with a groan. He saw that was strapped into a chair. He tried to get out, but he couldn't. No use struggling, Fate Boy, Temari said. Out of the shadows she came with an evil grin. Release me, Niji ordered, glaring at Temari. I don't think so, Tenten said as she too came out of the shadows with the same evil grin as Temari. You! Niji scowled. Yes, us, we're going to make you pay for what you did to Hinata, Temari said. Do you know who I am? Niji asked, glaring at the two girls. We don't give two shits about who you are. You hurt a friend of ours and that means you're going to pay. Tenten, Temari said. Tenten began laying out stuff on a table nearby and she talked while she worked. Now Temari, and I don't really have a knack for genjutsu. But since our lovely and hot fiancé Naruto is a seal master, he has found a way around it, Tenten said. These here are seals made especially to hold jutsus. They are very special and one of a kind since only Naruto can create them. Laid out on the table was several types of seals that the Hyuga had no clue how they worked. But there was so many of them. All lined up and ready to be used. Niji watched this, still unsure what was going on. He kept struggling to get loose, but the ropes never gave. You can stop struggling. Those ropes have built-in seals in them. Another little creation by our dear fiancé. The seals in the rope are chakra-suppressing ones. You're totally helpless, Temari said. Niji just glared at them. Tenten finally finished up and she turned around. She had a seal in her hand. Now Niji, be prepared to feel pain, she said. Niji's eyes widened as perspiration appeared on his forehead. He was scared at what these two will do to him. Tenten walked over and ripped off Niji's headband and slapped the seal on his forehead. Niji's eyes went blank. So which one did you start with? Temari asked. Oh, number 42, Tenten said with a grin. Scene break. Niji blinked as he looked around. He wasn't sure where he was. He tried to activate his Byakugan and found he couldn't. This scared him as he slowly made his way in any direction. But he soon found himself trapped. YOSH. Niji froze upon hearing this. It couldn't. No, it just couldn't me. YOSH. There it was again, but louder. YOSH. Niji was panicking now. He began to run, but found he was just running in circles, it seemed. YOSH. Soon Niji-sensei appeared in all of his green spandex, bowl-haired, huge bushy eyebrows glory. Niji, you seem troubled. But never fear, for I shall help you release the powers of youth within you, Niji screamed as he was grabbed. His clothes ripped off and replaced with the same green spandex his sensei is wearing. Scene break. Naruto heard screams and sighed. He knew it was Tenten and Temari exacting their vengeance. He was reading in the library, studying up on some of the more intricate seals used in the compound. Naruto? Naruto looked up to see Gaara looking at him. Hey Gaara, what can I do for you? The blonde asked. I need your help, Gaara said. Oh, with what? Naruto asked. How do you know if a girl likes you and how can you tell if you like a girl? Gaara asked nervously. Naruto looked up from the scroll he was reading and blinked. So he's finally figured out something, huh? He thought. What's bring this on Gaara? He asked, though he knew the reason. It's Haku. She's been very close to me. Very close. My sand doesn't react to her. I feel weird around her. I am unsure what this feeling is, Gaara said as he stared at his hands, which he was wringing. Oh Gaara, my boy, you have your first feelings towards a girl. I am so proud, Naruto said in a fatherly way. Gaara looked at Naruto, a bit scared at the change the blonde had made in his character. Naruto? The redhead asked. Come Gaara, my boy, I shall teach you the way of the girls, Naruto said. Hey, that's my job. He's my little brother, Kankuro said, storming in. Gaara is as much of my brother as yours, Kankuro, Naruto said calmly. Whatever, come on Gaara. I'll teach you about girls, Kankuro said as he dragged Gaara away. Learn what you can from Kankuro, and then come back to me for the right information, Naruto called. Gaara was confused as to what Naruto meant. Scene break. Gaara sat down awaiting whatever lessons Kankuro had in mind. The puppeteer came in carrying a large stack of books. Here, read these and you will learn you need to know about women, Kankuro said. Now there was one thing Gaara loved to do, and that was read. He's read several books, and he figured that the books Kankuro gave him were books on relationships and such. What he didn't know was that Kankuro gave Gaara a nice stack of Ika. Kankuro was a huge fan of the series and his most prized possession was an autographed copy of a limited edition fully illustrated and colored Ika volumes 1 to 10. The Ika he gave Gaara were the common paperback copies Kankuro read. Gaara was already on the 5th one when Tenten and Temari came in. Hey little brother, what are you reading? Temari asked as she caught sight of the book in Gaara's hands. She then snatched the book and with great strength tore it all to pieces. Tenten helped after seeing the other volumes. She pulled out a katana from one of her scrolls and began to hack, slice and slash the books to confetti. Gaara sat there completely shocked at the massacre before him. Gaara, why were you reading that filth? Temari asked angrily. Gaara was scared. He was scared shitless. I wanted to know more about girls. I went to Naruto, but Kankuro dragged me away telling me it was his responsibility. He gave me the books, he said in one breath. Tenten and Temari growled as they went to Kankuro's room in full righteous feminine wrath. It wasn't long till you heard loud shrill screams. Oh God, no! Stop, please stop, not there! Ah, please have mercy, mercy! Ah, Gaara sat there listening to all this. hearing as Tenten and Temari beat all the stuffing out of Kankuro and maybe have made sure he'd never, ever breed, ever. So you want to know about girls for real? Naruto asked. Gaara turned and found Naruto standing there ignoring Kankuro's cries. Gaara just nodded. Good, come on. They're going to be a while longer, Naruto said. The two left the house and Naruto led Gaara up to the top of the Hokage monument. They sat down and looked out at the glorious view of the whole village. Okay, well, the first thing you need to know is girls are complicated creatures. So never, and I mean never, think you'll ever have them figured out, since if you ever do then you're just fooling yourself, Naruto said. Gaara just nodded. Now how can you tell if you like a girl and if a girl likes you? That's two loaded questions, Naruto said as he then began to ponder how to explain these to Gaara. Let's start with how you can tell if you like a girl. That's a bit of an easier one, Naruto said. First thing is that you feel kind of nervous around the girl. Your palms get sweaty and you think about her a lot. Your heart races when you think of her. You get tongue-tied when you speak to her. Your stomach turns in knots and feel like you've got butterflies or something whenever you're near her. You notice many little things she does and says. You love hearing her laugh, smile, and hate it when she's upset. You think she's pretty, beautiful even if she thinks she looks her worst. Gaara nodded. Oh, Naruto, those are just the cliched answers. Not to say that they aren't true though. The two boys looked up to see Tenten and Temari. Hey, finished beating on Kankuro? Naruto asked. Yup, that will teach the pervert for trying to corrupt Gaara, Temari said. So you want to know about girls, Gaara? Well, Temari and I can help you, Tenten said. Temari nodded. She was going to make sure her little brother knew how to treat a girl right. She and Tenten had Naruto pretty well trained and she was going to make sure Gaara had that same training. Kankuro was a lost cause. She grabbed Gaara's hand and pulled him away. Don't worry, Gaara, we won't hurt you at all, Tenten said with a smile. Gaara looked very worried as he turned to Naruto for help. He got none. Sorry, Gaara, but I've learned not to interfere when Temari or Tenten are on a mission, Naruto said. Tenten and Temari kissed Naruto on the cheek for this, with Tenten kissing Naruto's left and Temari his right. They then took Gaara away for his education. Naruto shook his head and wondered if his friend would survive the lesson. Scene break. Naruto decided during this month to take his girls out on dates. They'd been so busy training and going on missions that they really had no time except to do small little dates here and there. But Naruto wanted to make up for that. He found Tenten and Temari sitting enjoying the backyard. Girls, Naruto said. Hello, Naruto, his two fiancées greeted. I wish to take each of you on a date, Naruto said. This made Temari and Tenten smile. They had such a great fiancé. We accept, Temari said. So who should go first? Tenten asked. I'll leave that up to you and I can plan from there, Naruto said. Tenten and Temari looked at each other, then did rock, paper, scissors. They did best 2 out of 3 and Temari won. She punched the air in triumph. You may have gotten him first, but I'll get him last, and the best Tenten countered. We'll see about that, Temari said with a grin. The two had a friendly rivalry with each other when it came to Naruto. Naruto sighed and shook his head, leaving the two with their playful taunting. He had a date to plan, 2 of them. Scene break. Neji awoke twitching. His face was coated with sweat like he had been running a marathon. Wakey, cranky ass with no bacon, Tenten said. Neji looked up. Please stop, please, he pleaded. Oh no, we're not through yet, Tenten said. Neji groaned and cried at how fate was messing with him. Now be a good fate boy and open your mind to your next adventure, Tenten said. Scene break. Kankuro had finally recovered, though he'd be limping around for a good long time and only time would tell if he could ever reproduce. Gaara was getting much instruction from both Tenten and Temari on how to treat a lady and everything about girls. He was beet red when they had Haku do the birds and the bees talk. Though Gaara wasn't the only red-faced one, since Haku was too, since she was talking about this to Gaara himself. Tenten and Temari were very adamant in making sure, so they allowed themselves to be human models, though Tenten was the one used since it would be very weird and then some if Temari did that role. After the talk, Gaara couldn't look at Haku, Tenten or Temari at all. What didn't help with that was that Tenten and Temari gave Gaara books on the subject too, so he'd be up to date. They even suggest he read them with Haku, which got both of glowing bright red. As that was going on, Naruto took both Tenten and Temari out on dates. Scene break. Tenten sighed as she rested her head on Naruto's shoulder. The two had just finished having a very nice meal at a restaurant, and were now having a lovely stroll under the stars. Naruto, where are you leading us? Tenten asked as she felt Naruto move them off the main road. To a special spot, Tenten, Naruto said. Tenten trusted Naruto, and soon they got there and Tenten gasped. She didn't know there was such a place. In front of her was a lovely park with a waterfall and a very well-tended garden. Naruto, this is amazing, she said in awe. I wanted to find a place for you and Temari, where we could go. I picked this place for you. I found a place for when I go with Temari, Naruto said. Tenten pressed her lips onto Naruto's cheek. We've trained you well, she said. Naruto just chuckled. The couple then went and found a bench and sat down. They had a lovely view of the waterfall and the twinkling stars above. Soon fireflies came out, and it just made the place even more magical and romantic. I can't believe you were able to hide this from Temari and I, Tenten said. Just shows I can, Naruto said with a smirk. Tenten huffed and playfully punched Naruto in the shoulder. Scene break. With Temari's date, Naruto took her to another nice restaurant. He then led her to a place he had picked out. It was on top of the Hokage monument, well, behind it. There was a lovely wooded area that had an open canopy with a great view of the starry sky. This amazing Naruto, Temari said as she looked skywards. Yeah, it is, Naruto said with an arm wrapped around Temari's waist. They stargazed for a while in silence till Naruto broke it. Temari, you and Tenten need to let the Hyuga go, he said. But Naruto, we're still working with him, Temari said. I know that, dear. But you're disrupting his month of training to get prepared for the finals. He may be an asshole, but he's a Konoha shinobi, Naruto said. Temari pouted. Fine, we'll let him go. But that just means we'll nab him again to continue his lessons after the finals, she said. Of course, dear, Naruto said and kissed Temari on the cheek. Scene break. Niji awoke and found he was in a training ground. He slowly got up, very wary that this might be a trap of some kind. He then found a note beside him. He picked it up. Hyuga, you're granted a small reprieve since you'll need to train for your fights in the finals. But that doesn't mean you're off the hook. Once the finals are over, you're ours again. Use your time to train wisely. TNT. Niji shivered as he headed back to the Hyuga compound to take a long shower and cry for a while. Scene break. Gaara was walking down the road when he heard a familiar giggle. He followed it and found Jiraiya crouched down peeking. Gaara narrowed his eyes since he remembered Haku telling him that she was going to the hot springs today. So Gaara used his sand and a huge fist erupted from the ground right under the toad sage. This sent him flying over the fence. There was screams and soon Jiraiya was the one scream as he was getting beat up. Gaara walked away whistling. Hey brat, why'd you do that? Jiraiya asked. Gaara looked at the freshly beaten Sannin. You were peeking in on Haku. I was merely defending her honor, he said. Haku? Jiraiya asked. Yes, Haku, Gaara said. So, you finally got a girl. My boy, I am here to give you whatever advice you need on how to handle women. I am a ladies' man, Jiraiya said with a grin as he threw an arm around Gaara's shoulders. I don't need any advice. I have enough already, Gaara said, shrugging off Jiraiya's arm. Come on, brat. I can teach you all you need to know, Jiraiya said. You mean all that's perverted, Temari said. Hello, Temari, Gaara greeted. Gaara, Temari said. Oh, it's you, Jiraiya said. Yes, it's me. And you will not try and corrupt my brother. Tenten and I already prevented you from corrupting our Naruto. We don't need your filth covering Gaara. It's already consumed, Kankuro, Temari said. My filth? Jiraiya asked. Yes, your filth. Your Ika, Temari said as she spat out the book title. How dare you call my books filth? They are all works of art. Written by a genius, that is I, Jiraiya said. They're just horrible smut, that's what they are, Tenten said. Pervy sage, what are you doing here? Naruto asked. Tenten and Naruto were on their way back from grocery shopping. Brat, how many times have I told you not to call me that? Jiraiya asked with a vein pulsing out. I'll keep calling you that until you stop your peeping, Naruto said. Never! Jiraiya exclaimed. Tenten and Temari shook their heads. Scene break. Temari and Tenten were walking enjoying the night. Naruto couldn't join them since he was training with Jiraiya. Hey, what's going on there? Tenten asked. They saw a girl running away as fast as she could. Tenten and Temari jumped in and found it was Kunoichi from sound that they saw get beaten. Hey, are you alright? What going on? Tenten asked. Please, you got hide me, the girl said, breathing hard. Why, who is chasing you? Temari asked. Come out wherever you are, kin. You can only hide from me for so long, a creepy voice called. Temari pulled out her fan as Tenten got some kunai out. Soon another sound shinobi appeared wearing a jounin outfit. There you are, kin, the jounin said. Kin just shrunk, hiding behind Tenten and Temari. Just what is going on here? Temari asked. He's trying to kill me, Kin said. I understand a jounin sensei being upset for losing in the prelims of the Chunin exams, but killing is extreme, Tenten said. No, he's trying to kill me. That's Orochimaru, Kin said. The sound jounin peeled away their disguise. That's not very nice, Kin, my dear, but it won't matter. You'll be dead soon, as will these two, the snake Sannin said. Tenten and Temari tensed since they both knew they were no match against the Sannin. Bring down the house jutsu. That shout made Orochimaru jump away just in time before he could get squished by a huge toad. It barely missed Tenten and Temari though. Are you girls alright? Naruto asked, appearing. We're fine, Naruto, Tenten said. Yeah, we just got almost crushed by a huge toad, Temari said, glaring at Jiraiya, who had appeared. The toad sage and the sake Sannin stared off against each other. I knew you'd show yourself sooner or later, Orochimaru, Jiraiya said. Jiraiya? How nice to see you, Orochimaru said. Kid, take your two girls and leave, Jiraiya said. Naruto nodded and took both Tenten and Temari's hands. They grabbed Kins and they left the two Sannin. Scene break. Okay, what's going on here? Naruto asked. They were back in the Namikaze compound. Well, we were just walking and ran into this girl, Tenten said. Kin was scared. It's okay, you're safe. We won't hurt you, Naruto said gently. Kin then told her tale about how Orochimaru started up the Sound Village, how his goal was to destroy Konoha, how she and her team were killed after the prelims to be used for the invasion that Orochimaru was planning. She spilled everything she knew. The three stood there listening. We need to tell this to the old man, Naruto said. Tenten and Temari nodded. Well then let's go, Jiraiya said. This made the four jump and turn to the Sannin. When did you get back here? Temari asked. Just a little while ago. That snake bastard didn't want to stay and fight, Jiraiya said with a growl. After that they went to see the Hokage and Kin told him everything. I see, Hiruzen said. Old man, I want to put Kin under my protection, Naruto said. Why do you want to do that, Naruto? Hiruzen asked, but before Naruto could answer he was stopped. Excuse me, Lord Hokage, but can we talk to Naruto for a moment? Temari asked. Hiruzen saw the looks on both Tenten and Temari's faces and knew not to interfere. He nodded and the two girls dragged Naruto away to another part of the room. Naruto, are you out of your mind? Temari asked. What do you mean? Naruto asked. Naruto, you want to put this girl under our clan's protection even though her village is planning to invade our village, Tenten said. Yeah, so? Naruto asked. Tenten and Temari sighed. Look. Kin doesn't want that. She had told us all about the plan going on. She doesn't want any part of it. And I think she would make a good addition to the village, Naruto said, but she can't be trusted. She betrayed her village and that means she's willing to betray again, Temari said. I trust she won't, Naruto said. How can you say that, Naruto? Tenten asked. I don't know. I just know that I can trust her, Naruto said with a shrug. Again the two girls sighed. Fine, but we're going to keep a very close eye on her, Temari said. Tenten nodded in full agreement. Naruto nodded knowing that it would be the case. They then returned to stand in front of the Hokage. So, do you still want to put Kintsuchi under your clan protection? Hiruzen asked. Yeah, I do, old man, Naruto said. Very well, let's get the paperwork done, and then I need to make plans, Hiruzen said. Kin was so surprised that this boy was standing up for her. She bowed her head. Thank you so much, you won't regret this at all, she said earnestly. We better not. But for now, welcome to the Uzumaki clan, Tenten said. So Kin was led to house and introduced to Kankuro, Gaara and Haku. Scene break. The rest of the month the team planned on how to counter the invasion. They knew this would be tricky and Naruto moved everywhere and placed seals all over that would be traps. He of course let Loyal leave Shinobi where they are so they wouldn't trigger them. It was the day of the Chunin finals and there was excitement in the air, though to Team Firestorm they were tense, since they also knew that today the invasion would happen. They all checked and made final preparations. Kin was ordered to stay inside the compound. She sulked a bit since she hated being cooped up inside. When do you think the invasion will start? Temari asked. Don't know, even Kin didn't even know that. We're just lucky that Orochimaru loves to monologue before he kills someone. He gave Kin a lot of his plan, Naruto said. Come on, we better get going, Kankuro said as he shifted the puppet on his back. Haku and Gaara shared a hug before parting. Be safe, Gaara, I know your sand will protect you, but I still worry, Haku said. Be careful yourself, Haku. I don't want to lose you, Gaara said as he caressed Haku's cheek. It's so cute. Gaara has grown up so much. I'm so proud, Temari said. Tenten smiled too as she watched the scene. Haku was stationed in the stadium to be part of the medic staff. Scene break. Team Firestorm sat there in the stadium waiting for the matches to start. They tried to calm themselves so they wouldn't be suspicious. The matches began and the five watched each of the fights getting into them. Ugh, that lazy bum. He gave up, Temari said as she watched Shikamaru forfeit his match. Well, he is a Nara, but I think he figured something out, Naruto said. I still say he's a lazy bum, Temari said. He was a bit out of his league facing that waterfall, Tenten said. The matches continue then to wait for Sasuke's match. Well, he's out of the running to be a Chunin for being this late, Gaara said. Yeah, but a part of the blame is put on Kakashi since he's making his student late for his match, Tenten said. Soon Sasuke appeared and the match began. But the match didn't last long since feathers began to fall. Genjutsu. It begins, Gaara said as he dispelled it. The others nodded as they dispelled the jutsu too. Smoke erupted from the Kage booth. Shit, you guys help wherever you can. I'm helping the old man, Naruto said, dashing off before Tenten or Temari could even make a move to stop Naruto. Damn it, Naruto, Temari growled. Fights began to break out all over the stadium as well outside it too. Scene break. Today's the day, sensei. Today's the day you die, Orochimaru said after he revealed himself from his disguise. That ain't going to happen, Naruto said. Naruto, what are you doing here? Hiruzen asked, shocked. Helping you, old man, Naruto said. Naruto, this too dangerous, Hiruzen said. I'm just here to back you up, old man, Naruto said. A little brat thinks he can take on the mighty Orochimaru, the snake Sannin crowed. He then did some hand signs and 4 coffins rose from the ground. One coffin had a kanji of a 1, the second had a kanji of a 2, the third had a kanji of a 4, and the 4th coffin had a red swirl. Orochimaru, you fiend. How dare you defile the dead? Hiruzen shouted. What's going on, old man? Naruto asked. Naruto, the jutsu Orochimaru is using was created by the second Hokage, one of my teachers. It's a vile jutsu that brings the dead back, Hiruzen said. Now time for you to meet the past, Sensei, Orochimaru said with a sinister smirk. But some unseen force struck the 3rd coffin with the kanji of a 4 on it, and the coffin was obliterated till there was nothing left, not even a shard of wood. What the? Orochimaru said, shocked. Scene break. Meanwhile, throughout the village, fights were going on all over. Konoha Shinobi were fighting Sound Nin. But on the wall there was more trouble. Sir, IWA Nin are trying to breach the wall, a Chunin reported. Damn that, Orochimaru, Ibiki said. How are IWA Nin attacking us? A Chunin asked. Orochimaru must have made some kind of contact with them, Ibiki said. What are we to do? The Chunin asked. I'll take care of it, Gaara said. He then got on the wall and began to defend the wall with his sand. He was using his sand to deflect against the boulders IWA Nin were hurling at the wall. The sand would stop the flying boulders and then hurl them right back at the throwers. Tenten, I need some help here, Gaara called. Got it, Tenten said. She ran up the wall and then opened one of her sealing scrolls. She unleashed a huge barrage of kunai. But they all landed at the feet of the IWA Nin. You missed, Gaara said. Did I? Tenten said with a smirk. Soon those kunai exploded, knocking back the IWA Nin into the trees hard. Naruto's explosion tags? Gaara asked. Yup, Tenten said with a smile. Gaara was still looking at Tenten when a sound Nin tried to sneak up on Gaara. He lunged to attack, but was stopped short and fell to the ground. Gaara turned and saw the downed sound Nin with Saban needles in his neck. He turned to find Haku standing there with Saban needles between her fingers. Haku, I had it covered, he said. Gaara darling, I know you did. But isn't it better for me watching your back than your sand? Haku asked. You can always watch my back, Haku, Gaara said. Good answer, Gaara, Tenten said. Scene break / Temari was swinging her fan blowing away sound Nin. But then an explosion was heard and a giant snake was causing havoc. Oh great, more bad news, Kankuro grumbled. Never fear, for I the great gallant Jiraiya is here. The toad Sannin announced. I don't know whether to be happy for this or not, Temari said. Scene break / How could this happen? Orochimaru asked, still shocked that one of his coffins had been destroyed. You tried to mess with death, my old student. He doesn't take too kindly in taking what is his, Hiruzen said. It doesn't matter. I have more than enough still to kill you and that brat, Orochimaru said arrogantly. The coffins opened and inside there was Hashirama Senju, Tobirama Senju and Kushina Uzumaki. Mom! Naruto said, stunned. He had seen pictures of his mom in the compound. His sight then turned black and when Naruto's vision cleared he was somewhere he didn't know. Where am I? He asked. You're in your mind, Kit. Naruto turned to find a huge fox in a cage. Kyubi, he said. Hey Kit, the giant fox said, raising one its giant paws in greeting. What do you want, fox? I am kinda in the middle of something. Naruto asked. Kit, I sense some of my lingering chakra in your mother, and I know a way to bring her back, Kyubi said. Why should I trust you? Naruto asked. It's either trust me or fight against her, and I can tell you that you have no way of beating her. Even though you're quite strong, she's in a different league altogether, Kyubi said. Naruto decided to take a risk. Fine, but this better not be a trick, he said. I swear on my 9 tails that I am being truthful, Kyubi said, holding up its paw like it was taking a solemn oath. So, how should we go about this? Naruto asked. Real world. A dark red aura surrounded Naruto, and Hiruzen got frightened since he felt the malicious intent of the Kyubi. Even Orochimaru, feeling the malicious chakra, was getting a bit edgy. Naruto? He asked. It's alright, old man, still in control. Just going to take care of something, Naruto said. He then dashed off quickly to only be seen as a red blur. He snatched Kushina from her coffin, and then the red chakra began to pour into Kushina's body. Kushina started to move, and then she woke up. Her eyes opened. What's going on? She asked tiredly. Hi, Mom, Naruto said with tears in his eyes. Naruto? Kushina asked weakly. Mom, you're still pretty weak from being brought back from the dead, Naruto said. He knew he needed to get his mom to a safe place. So he sped off with one of his tails holding her. He ripped through the barrier, which shocked everyone. The barrier barely had time to reconstruct itself when Naruto returned, though he just made another hole instead of using the same one. This put a lot of strain on the barrier, with it being ripped open twice in a matter of seconds, it seemed. Alright, now that that's settled we can begin, Naruto said. Naruto, what did you just do? Hiruzen asked, stunned. I just got my mother back, Naruto said with a smile. Orochimaru was quite shocked by all this. He had never seen anything like it. But he'd think about it later. He pulled out 2 kunai ready to insert them into the 2 dead Kage. But before the 2 dead former leaders could even move, 2 red tails flared out and wrapped around the 2 former leaders, and the corrosive nature of Kyubi's chakra destroyed them. Orochimaru was shocked seeing this and glared at Naruto. Now that's quite unfair, Naruto said as the 2 red tails disappeared. Naruto? Hiruzen asked, a bit scared. Don't worry, old man. I'm still in control. Now let's take care of this snake bastard, Naruto said as he got into a fighting stance. Scene break / Gaara was still manning the wall with Haku. Tenten had left to help elsewhere. Gaara dear, we're going on a real date after this, Haku said as she flipped her sweaty black hair back. Of course, dear, Gaara said as he created a wave of sand to swallow up some IWA Nin. I want to go to a nice place, Haku said as she hurled a couple of saban, knocking out more IWA Nin trying to break the wall down. Yes, dear, Gaara said. Several boulders flew by and were on their way to hit Haku. But Gaara grabbed Haku with a tendril of sand and pulled her out of the line of fire before she was crushed. Gaara, Haku said. Gaara smiled as his sand swallowed up the IWA Nin that tried to crush his Haku. Scene break / Hey, look boys, a little kunoichi. Let's have some fun with her before we kill her, a sound Nin said with a smirk. His companions shared his smirk. Oh dear me, what am I to do? Tenten asked in the fakest damsel in distress tone. The sound Nins moved in, grinning like jackals till they all got tied up like turkeys ready to roast. Tenten had placed seals that contained traps and let herself be bait for the idiot sound Nin that thought they could take her. Now I think you were talking about a little fun. Well, I want my fun too, Tenten said with a vicious grin. The sound Nins all shrank with fear as Tenten descended upon them with a big ominous shadow. The sounds of their scream could be heard all over the village. Scene break. Jiraiya had summoned a huge toad to take on the invading snake. He himself was fighting several Sannin. I think all of Sound is empty. This has got to be all of their forces, the Sannin said. He's nuts to think we can destroy the village with an overwhelming force, Temari said. My old teammate was always a bit screwy in the head. All-powerful shinobi are, Jiraiya said. Even Kankuro? Temari asked. Jiraiya hesitated on this. Hey! Kankuro shouted as he was insulted. Scene break. Sir, the evacuations are complete. Every civilian is in the bunkers, a Chunin said. Good. Now we can start letting loose, Ibiki said with a grin marring his scarred-up face. Scene break. Naruto and Hiruzen were having a very hard time fighting Orochimaru, but the snake Sannin had underestimated Naruto very much, and now was paying for it. He was getting tired and knew he couldn't go on much longer. But he had one sole task and he was going to do it. He opened his mouth and Kusanagi came out and shot out right at Hiruzen. Naruto leapt in front of it, taking it in the stomach. Naruto! Hiruzen shouted. Hey, save you, old man, Naruto gasped, then coughed up some blood. Orochimaru wasn't pleased he hadn't killed his sensei, but he had eliminated Naruto, so that was something. He just knew Naruto would be a pain in his rear if left alive. He tried to remove Kusanagi from Naruto, but the boy had a firm grasp on the blade. He had to let it go of the sword, and it angered him so since he liked that sword a lot. We're leaving, he announced to the 4 Sannin holding the barrier. The 4 Sannin were happy to hear this since they weren't sure how much longer they could have held the barrier since Naruto's exit and entry he had done took a lot of chakra out of them. Scene break. All over Konoha was fighting back and winning. They killed all the Sannin that had invaded their village and took out the IWA Nin too. Now it was time to recover and rebuild. Tenten and Temari immediately rushed off to see how Naruto was doing since they felt a shiver down their spine. They knew something happened, and it was something bad. They found Naruto in Hiruzen's arms. Kusanagi had been pulled from Naruto, and Hiruzen had done a bit of healing to stop the bleeding. Naruto! The two girls shouted. Scene break. Naruto laid on a hospital bed with tubes and wires all attached to various parts of his body. He looked so still that it appeared that he was asleep or dead. It scared both Tenten and Temari to see Naruto so motionless and pale. They held on to Naruto's hands in hopes of reaching him somehow. Gaara was leaning against the wall keeping a watch on the room. Kankuro was doing the same. In the same room was Kushina, who was recovering from her being brought back to life. Team Firestorm was shocked seeing Kushina alive and knew Naruto had something to do with it, but they knew they wouldn't be able to get any answer till Naruto was healed. They would just have to wait. Haku entered looking tired. What is it, Haku? Gaara asked. The poison is beyond my expertise. The only one that can figure it out is Lady Tsunade, Haku said. Then we drag her back to heal, Naruto, Tenten said, standing up. Temari nodded furiously as she stood up too. We need to find the pervy sage, Temari said. Hey, I'm right here, Jiraiya said, poking his head in. He was just outside the wall by the window of Naruto's room. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go, Tenten said. Gaara nodded and was going to get ready too. Gaara, I want you and Kankuro to stay here and watch over Naruto till Tenten and I get back with Tsunade, Temari said. Are you sure? Gaara asked. We're sure, Gaara. We need to do this, Tenten said. Gaara just nodded. Let's go, Temari said. She and Tenten left with Jiraiya grumbling about being bossed around, but followed them out knowing that he had no real choice at all. It was either follow them or receive a beating and then follow them. Scene break. Jiraiya, Tenten and Temari were on the road. After Jiraiya cleared the mission with Hiruzen, they left. So where do we look first? Temari asked. Wherever gambling is and alcohol flows, Jiraiya said. You can't be serious, Tenten said. Hey, Tsunade does have that great nickname, Jiraiya said. What is it? Temari asked. Legendary sucker, Jiraiya said with a smirk. Tenten groaned. She idolized Tsunade, and so she knew all about Tsunade's obsessive gambling, and how bad she is at it. She had forgotten about it till now since she had been so busy and everything, but now it was all flooding back to her. That can't be it, Temari said. It is. Tsunade Senju is a terrible gambler. She has the worst luck, Tenten said. Scene break. Well, here we are. Feeling nostalgic? A tall man asked. No, why? A shorter man asked. Don't know. You are back home, the tall man said. I don't care, let's get this over with, the shorter one said. Scene break. We'll be staying here for now. I need to check on one of my sources, Jiraiya said. You mean go spy on naked women, Tenten growled. Jiraiya shrugged and off he went. I wish we didn't need the pervert to find Tsunade, Temari said. Me too, but this is for Naruto, Tenten said. I know, Temari said. They then headed to their room. Scene break. Meanwhile back in Konoha, Gaara and Kankuro were stopping to get something to eat. Hey you two. Kankuro looked up to see Asuma Sarutobi and Kurenai Yuhi. Hello, Gaara greeted. So how is Naruto holding up? Asuma asked. Asuma knew Team Firestorm well enough since his father, Hiruzen Sarutobi, has spoken about them a lot and of Naruto. He's holding up, but we really need Tsunade Senju here, Gaara said. Asuma nodded as he lit up a cigarette. We best get back. We shouldn't tarry from our post long, Gaara said. You just want to get back to Haku, Kankuro said with a grin. Yes, I do, Gaara said honestly. So the two left. They got to Naruto's room and found mayhem. What the? Kankuro asked. Inside, Kushina had awoken and was fighting two men in black robes with red clouds on them. You're not taking my baby, you bastards, Kushina growled. Damn, what are we going to do? The taller figure asked. We must retreat. We're not strong enough to fight her, the shorter figure said. But she just got up. How much trouble can she cause us? The taller figure said. Then by all means, go and try it, the shorter figure said. What the tall figure got was a shellacking he'd never forget. He was beaten with Kushina's bare fists since she had no weapons. The taller figure limped back to his partner. Told you, now we must leave. Our presence has probably already been noticed, the shorter figure said. It has, Sotayuri, Gaara said. The shorter figure turned to see Gaara and Kankuro standing at the door. Gaara, it has been a long time. I'm glad you're well, Sotayuri said. And you look well too, Sota, Gaara said. Now Team Firestorm knew Sota since was one who used to watch over them when they went out on missions early in their team history. Who's his, the shark face? Kankuro asked. Her name is Kisame Hashigaki, brat, the tall figure, Kisame said. Kushina looked at the four in front of her, not knowing what was going on, but that didn't matter. She was going to protect her son. She glanced at Naruto laying in bed and felt her heartstrings get pulled. Just what happened to him to end up in this condition? Back with Itachi, Kisame, Gaara and Kankuro. The four were just staring at each other.